Nation Radio.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Do you ever have one of those moments where you think, how the hell did I get here? Jeez, what happened to me? I was ruling the galaxy, had a cherry new battle station. I mean, this place had an omelet bar, a straight-up omelet bar. And now look, my former interns tossing me down a bottomless freaking pit. You know, come to think of it, my whole life has been a series of what the moments. That was my out.
The voice of U.S. Army, WTF Moments. This is WTF Nation Radio.
I looked my woman in the eye sockets. I told her straight out. I just said it, man. I said it. I said, bitch, I'm the man of the house.
You said bitch, though. You called your wife a bitch.
Yeah.
This is a public service announcement from C.T. Fletcher. I will not contribute to the pussification of a nation. Get your punk ass out there and work for it, motherfucker.
Let's roll.
Bass, man. You hear that bass? Damn. All right. What is going on? WTF Nation Radio. Broadcasting live from the Function Better Center of Excellence this 25 February 2019. And this is the Monday edition. Joining us right now, of course, we have Spanky, Flyesh, and myself hanging out. Man, what a Monday. What is going on, guys? What is going on in the chats? It would have seemed that the systems are requiring some updates, so bear with me. Let me know. Give me some comms checks if you guys can hear me in the chats, because I've been doing some tweaking. No, not that kind of tweaking.
What's going on, John? What's going on, Andy?
There we go. Can you all hear
What's going
us?
on, folks?
Can they hear us in there? Can hello? I'd like to speak to somebody who can hear us today. Oh man, what a week! What a weekend! What a
I was gonna say what a week. It's only Monday, but
it's only Monday, man.
Shitty Monday.
It feels 100% like a 360-degree Monday week that has been compiled into one.
Oh, I don't like to be like, oh, it's Monday. Ooh, I don't like, I'm trying to be a slightly, I'm trying to take a page out of the Owls playbook and be a little more positive and stuff like that. Today was one of those Mondays. All I want to do is just like flick off everything and everybody. The wind, fuck you. My alarm clock, no go, fuck you. The train, fuck you. DC, fuck you all. Well, that's DC, so that's the usual. But just like this Monday has just been kicking my butt.
It's kicking your butt.
And I was like,
there's a lot of new stuff going on in the DoD, right? Or in the government.
There's so much stuff, and I want to give a quick shout out to all the leaders that have been hitting us up in the, especially on Twitter, because a lot of leaders are actually starting to reach out to us and are letting us know when a lot of these town halls are going to be for different locations. Let's see. Real quick, Fort Eustis is housing town hall is going to be at 1800 at Jacobs Conference Center, at room B647, and I believe that date might have changed. Oh no, that's Fort Story. So it's going to be on February 28th, and it will not be Facebook Live broadcast. Ooh, Joint Base Langley Eustis, not live broadcasting.
Yeah.
Then Fort Story will be at 1800 at Four Stories Chapel on, that's the one that should, and let me double check since I have it up right here, was supposed to be on the 27th. I think I got pushed to the 28th at 1800. And again, I'm sorry, Fort Stories is now on the 26th, same time and location, which is, again, at the Fort Story Chapel at 1800, and no Facebook Live, which is, not Not so good. We did have the your favorite folks. The was it Rakus? I always have trouble saying
The
their name.
Rakasans.
The
Rakasans.
Rakkasans, they hit us up and let us know that Fort Campbell is doing theirs. Major General Brian Winsky and the 101st Airborne Division and Fort Campbell.
I tell you what, the Rakasans, they gave me my first follow on Twitter. So, real quick, I gotta give them all the shouts and I got them all love. So, real quick, let me say hi to Spanky, Bailey, Marshall, Alan, Bailey. What's up? What's up, Zach? What's up, Terry? I can see the vape. Andy, what's up? What's up? What's up? What's up, Alan? Oh man, everyone's Eric. What up? What up? This is not a group.
What
this
up,
is a live.
Evan?
This is a live broadcast. Live. What up, William? Man, Jake from State Farm. John Green, loud and clear. Thank you for it. And what's up, Karen? Yeah, this is live. This is not a group. What's up to the Army recruiting? What's up, Patrick? I see you in there, my golf. What is going on, man? No, you did not. No, the guest is going to come on in about an hour, about 45 minutes. Miyoko Hikiji is going to come on and discuss her book, which there's a lot of women issues stuff going on. I would love to get her perspective on, and I can't wait for her to get on here to discuss about women.
Today's guest is going to be awesome.
Yeah,
I'm very excited.
Yeah, pumped up.
We've got some good stuff lined up for this month and working on for March. So yeah, so 101st and Fort Campbell are doing their own town hall on Tuesday, tomorrow, February 26th at 6 p.m. at Wilson Theater. This will also be broadcast live on Facebook at Facebook/Fort Campbell. Easy enough. And then our good friends over there at 10th Mountain let us know that they did have they were supposed to have their town hall today, but due to some potential weather, and they didn't want to cross over on our show because they love us.
That's good stuff.
They're postponed until noon on Tuesday, February 26th at the Commons. And the leader training session scheduled for Monday has also been moved too. It'll be a little earlier, but that's also going to be broadcast live on Facebook. And of course, we're going to share it when it's broadcast, so everyone can hear what's going on and see how these leaders are reacting to the news of our housing situation is shite.
News? This is not news.
I know.
This has been reported forever.
The quote unquote now breaking national news something.
Yeah, this is something that happened, something. Right. No, the thing is that, again, now we do appreciate the fact that they allow. Look, there's been so far only one installation that has not posted their stuff on Facebook Live, which was one of the heated housing areas, which was Fort Polk. Fort Polk did not broadcast their stuff on Facebook Live, but everybody else. Yeah. Everyone else seems to be processed. If you guys are not aware, right now, currently, the U.S. Army worldwide is conducting a housing town hall for all installations in the Installation Management Command. So basically, that means Korea had theirs. There's going to be some. I think there's going to be some other ones too. And we have been getting pinged left and right at the main page and at WTF Nation Radio to share, to get the word out in case individuals are not able to make it. Now, leaders, we implore you not to. I don't want to say, but I almost said behoove.
It would behoove you.
I almost said behoove. Just let the comments flow. Let the comments flow. Sometimes if you you're there to be an audience member and take notes. Take notes. The Army and the Department of Defense have already said that there will be no retribution, and then they'll let them find out there is retribution. The Navy is doing a 100% housing walking through all of their installations, all their bases. And ports that have housing, they're going to do a 100% leaders walkthrough. Go figure. That's unreal. Never heard about that before. Doing a 100% leaders walkthrough. So town halls are hitting it.
Everyone's taking this very seriously because this, yes, it's a difference between us dealing with it and just normal. Okay, this sucks. Let's paint over the black mold and not fix it. It's nothing for it to be a national attention thing and somebody, the chief of staff who's probably not really paying attention, the Secretary of the Army, who this is not their they're thinking that these installations are taking care of business. That's not on the forefront of their minds. So the fact that this is now on the forefront of their minds, everyone's getting started. And before I forget, a big shout out to Command Sergeant Major Jeremiah Gann from Fort Jackson. He actually hit us up to let us know that Fort Jackson Housing Town Hall will be at the Post Theater on March 1st at 1700. and both the CG for Fort Jackson and himself will be in attendance to answer questions, and that will also be live on Facebook. So again, we will rebroadcast. So big, we've been talking big because this is an issue, and you could definitely tell in Flash's humble opinion the type of leaders that are out there when huge stuff like this. It's kind of like it's a shit sandwich. Everyone's gonna have to take a bite. It's the ones that I hate using the same jargon, but we understand that lean forward in the foxhole. They go, okay, this
buzzword,
this sucks.
Man. Buzzword.
How do we? I try to get away from my civilian job. They're like, you need to stop using these army analogies. I'm like, shut up. This works. But again, you get leaders that lean forward in the foxhole that are actually actively really making an effort, and then you have some that are kind of like passively, we'll take care of it, or we'll talk about it. So I really appreciate all the ones that have been hitting us up on Twitter and on other social media outlets to let us know that these town halls are happening so we can share it. Like they're not just gonna.
Oh my God, the outreach!
If they didn't want us to put it out there too.
The outreach has been pretty good, actually. I mean, it's been awesome. We totally appreciate Army leaders out there engaging us and contacting us, and our emails and Twitter accounts and pages have been lit with leaders wanting us to get that's what we're here for. I mean,
and this is what we've been striving to do over the last couple of years is to get Army leaders to understand that yes, when stupid stories come out, we're going to make fun of you. That's just how it happens. We're here for the entertainment aspect, but we're also here to kind of like inform, educate. And this is one of those informed things. Hey guys, here's a chance to talk to your leaders and tell them all your horror stories that you keep telling your buddy at the bar that your house is so shitty. Here's your chance to actually go and tell the Command Sergeant Major of Fort Jackson, hey, this is so shitty, and I have this many work orders, and it's been this long, and I have we named the black mold that lives in the living room. His name's George, and George doesn't pay rent, so we want him out. This is your chance. So exactly what I was thinking of. But this is your chance, and we're informing you that you have an opportunity to now talk to the Command Sergeant Major or these leaders on all these different Fort. Even if Fort Eustis and Fort Story aren't live broadcasting, but they're doing. They may not have the capabilities.
I was about to say I don't think they're resourced in their shop to do it.
Facebook Live is still, but I have to appreciate the ones that have been doing Facebook Live have been have not just been having their phone and just trying to do it, but they've actually been incorporating systems, which is a little more difficult than you might think, especially at none of these posts ever have great signal and shit like that. So there's a lot of work that goes into it. So I'm not going to mess with Fort Story and Fort Eustis for not having a live broadcast because it can be difficult if you don't have the right stuff. But the fact that everyone's doing these town halls and they're reaching out to let us know this is happening, it's enough so we can at least help. You never know. We only might reach 10 people that are on Fort Story, but at least they now know if they didn't hear from any other channel. And that's what we're here to do. Step off the high horse. But still, these bases need to get their shit in order because soldiers shouldn't have to deal with this kind of stuff. This is the least. I shouldn't be having guys going over to the Baltics or going over to Syria or going to Egypt or whatever, worrying if their black mold's gonna eat their kid.
You know what? I was gonna offer a shred of support. Can I just throw a frag in the porta potty right quick? Fort Polk, you had an event going on that was Facebook Live, and then you didn't do the town hall Facebook Live. I'm just saying. I'm just gonna talk about. There was an event that happened in the theater that they had there, and it was filmed Facebook Live, but the town hall was not Facebook Live. I'm not saying that your event was not important, but I'm just saying that it's kind of looks. I'm just saying. Optics say
if you got the capabilities to do it, you should, because if you want to reach maximum effectiveness with your messaging, that's how you do it. So the fact that they didn't use the capabilities outright when they have them is a little suspect, but whatever. But so a lot of things going on with the housing. I still don't like all the PR posturing that our higher commands are doing, but I like that these leaders on the ground are taking a big bite of the apple and trying to make something work. So yeah, our Twitter's been lit. We've had a lot of engagement. It's been kind of crazy. We've been blocked by people. It's been good.
Yeah, I've kind of noticed. I've kind of noticed some. Damn. Okay, look, we'll talk about it later. That's let's talk about that later. No, the thing is that look, I don't want it to be is that hey, we got a lot of things happening this week, and chains of command. We appreciate you guys throwing us the bone and give us information. We're more than happy to share your stuff and get it out to you. So that way, what better way to share it on a page that's got 1.2 million followers, and you can get your global. So you can Facebook Live your town hall, and it'll be seen in Thailand. You'll have no problem. Somebody in Thailand or Australia or in Europe be able to see it. Too easy. More than happy to do it. But yeah, I'm just shocked that all the support that the Installation Management Command has been thrown to us, and then all the senior leaders have been asking us to do that. It's pretty cool. This is what we're all about, to get that information out there for you guys, the WTF Nation, to check out. Of course, providing news, commentary, hyperbole, and discussion. We got to we got to crack some jokes. Come on, man. So, when someone says, hey, I saw this soldier do this, and I saw this soldier vaping while he was jumping out of an airplane, nobody would believe it unless you had the main page or WTF Nation Radio. It's just the way it is. So when someone says, I call bullshit on that, then there you go. I'm sorry, what would you say? Flash, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, no, I didn't say anything. I was just, I'm very happy. So one of our upcoming guests is someone that you've probably seen at the White House, probably not the way you're thinking of. This man is huge, and I'm not talking.
Wait, dude, you're already jumping. There you go, jumping the gun again, man. Why'd you wait for house cleaning?
I'm only teasing. You gotta let the tease marinate.
I don't know.
Like this guy.
I don't know what you teasing, but okay.
I'm just looking at this guy, and he's huge.
Yeah.
Like this guy is massive.
You can't leave off the sentence of, hey, I'm teasing, and this guy's huge.
Hey, maybe if you would shut up and let me finish my sentence, damn it.
You're not supposed to be doing house cleaning right now, dude.
I'm not doing house cleaning because they haven't scheduled them yet. I was just talking about how massive this guy's arms are.
Triggered.
Son of a... Damn it! Where's my whiskey? I'm gonna have to walk to the other side of the house.
Oh man, I love you, man.
Because your old ass is having schizophrenia, dementia moments.
No way, dude. Hey, so real quick, did you watch the Oscars? At all?
Fuck no.
Did you Spanky, did you watch the Oscars, or are you front desking right now? I'm sorry. Are you?
Oh, front desking, but yes, I've watched most of the Oscars. I was hoping for a trailer that did not happen. That's the reason why I watched it.
Wait a minute.
They did a trailer for The Lion King.
Yep.
That was pretty cool. I watched a little.
I want to know who plays Scar. That's my favorite fucking character. One of my favorite character in
I kind of hope Jeremy Irons replays Scar. Just gotta let him. But the Oscars had some cool moments. You had because Bohemian Rhapsody that was up for a lot of awards. You had Brian May and the bassist from Queen. I always forget his name, which makes me feel sad. But then they also had Adam Lambert, who was singing
for Freddie Mercury.
A lot of people, they had Adam Lambert singing for Freddie Mercury. Now a lot of people loved because it was Brian May on the guitar, and it's awesome. But they played two of the most played Queen songs in their repertoire. So some people were kind of it's not the greatest start. This is one of the very few Oscars that have had no hosts at all. Which actually, according to the couple articles, their ratings actually rose despite of that. You had a couple people that did poke fun that there was no host this year. If you remember, Kevin Hart was supposed to host the Oscars, but as you do, remember to clean up your social media if you're ever going to do anything public, because a couple of homophobic / transphobic jokes that he made on Twitter years and years and years ago resurfaced. He apologized again, and then said, screw it, I'm done, I don't give a crap. So he pulled, and they couldn't find anyone else because everyone who does host the Oscars gets the shit kicked out of them, in every newspaper, every social media hates them. It's just the way that it's always just kind of the way that it plays out.
Well, there was also, look, the reason why I think people stop watching because nobody wants to see the politics. Nobody wants to hear the bullshit anymore. They just want to see what movie was good. I like a good movie. Don't get me wrong. I enjoy a good movie, but I hate movie with overtones that has to do with current. That's the whole reason why, like sports. Once again, like sports. That's the reason why. That's why I go into movies to get away from shit. Because I don't like to I want to be away from the outside world. So if I see something that's nothing but, this summer, MAGA hat attacks, or, Attack of the MAGA, I hate it. Stop. I want to watch a movie. I want to watch a movie where fucking that's original, a good storyline. I don't want to hear. I don't want to hear about that shit.
There were a little bit of political overtones at the very beginning. They said there is no host. There is no popular picture category because a lot of people were like, "Oh, there needs to be like a popular movie category, stuff like that." And then they said Mexico's not paying for the wall, and that was one. Spike Lee, he won an award. Now, I have the awards right here. So here's some interesting pieces though. For best short documentary, the documentary period end of sentence is a story about a woman's menstrual cycle, and that actually won. Now, while I have not seen the documentary, the acceptance speech was fucking hilarious because he walked up and go, "I just won an Oscar for documenting my menstrual cycle."
Right.
I was like,
right.
I was like, "You do you, girl." Yeah.
I had to look that up to see what the hell it was about because I saw that speech. I'm like, what the fuck did I just listen to?
It was one of those weird, like, I was like, I always like my parents, especially my mom and my step, they're super competitive when it comes to the Oscars, and they'll actually go, especially for the best picture. Like, there's lots of theaters that'll like play all of them like over the span of a day, and you like literally go there from like from dawn to dusk and shit. But they, so we try to look up like these like documentaries and these shorts and stuff like that. And I saw that before it came out. I'm like, I wonder what that is. And she said about a menstrual cycle. I was like, oh, well, good for you. So that won an Oscar for best makeup. The winners, the makeup folks from the movie Vice, the story of the quote unquote story of Dick Cheney. Apparently they were getting a lot of static because their acceptance speech was, it didn't make sense because somebody was on a little too much Valium that night. But it was a little weird. Live action short film, the movie Skin one, have no clue what that is. For best sound editing, Bohemian Rhapsody won an Oscar. Good for you guys.
Yep.
Best production design, for the first time in Marvel movie history, Marvel movie has won an Oscar with Black Panther. I really like, while it was weird that
what did it win
Black
though? What did it win?
Best production design.
Yeah, see, I thought it was a good movie.
It's not their only one, and I'll get there. They were nominated for Best Picture, which I thought was a little weird because it was to me, it's not my favorite Marvel movie. Granted, I am not the super target audience for that movie. Understand that. And anyone who thinks like, oh no, that shut your face. There's a certain it's not for it's not. I'm not the number one. I'm number two at the Marvel super fan. But they won for best production design. I did think it was weird they were in best picture, but whatever. So they beat out Mary Poppins Returns, First Man, Roma, and The Favorite. Best film editing went to Bohemian Rhapsody, beating out Green Book, Vice, and The Favorite. Best costume design, again, Black Panther wins its second Oscar. Ruth E. Carter, the first black female to win an Oscar in that category. And this I thought was super well deserving because if you actually look at Black Panther, all the costumes, especially the different tribes, are actually tribal outfits from Africa, which was really cool that they incorporated. And they did like a kind of they call it, there was a term for it where it's like, it's African, but it's a future like futuristic. There's a shorter version of that word, but it's like African, but they kind of like put it to the future, and that's what Black Panther really, it really is. And the design is really good, and the costume design is really good. So I thought that was very well deserved, and honestly, probably my favorite out of that. There are some weird ones, like best animated short film was a little short movie about a lady who adopts a dumpling. like it's a dumpling, like you get like a steam it dumpling, and it's a kind of a show. It's a short film about separation anxiety after she's got an empty nest and kind of attaching on to the next thing, which is weird. It's a dumpling, but whatever. Visual effects, First Man one, which was for me a little weird, that Ready Player One,
right,
Avengers Infinity War,
right,
and Solo. I figured it was gonna be one of those. My guess was actually Ready Player One, but First Man, okay, for best visual effects, so they wanted an Oscar.
Well, yeah, because
Roma,
you can't fake the moon landing just right again. You know what I mean?
Not at all.
It was so good that it was. I think that you know what? In about 100 years from now, they're going to use First Man as the archival footage from NASA. I'm sorry, if you believe in that kind of stuff. Tinfoil. Yeah, they updated. Yeah, exactly. I don't remember Ryan Gosling being a fucking astronaut.
So Netflix actually, hitting up the Oscars, and I see this, and you mark my words, in the next 5 years, you're going to see more Netflix movies, and Netflix originals in the Emmys and in the Oscars, because they're starting to produce some really good content, like the movie Roma, that won, excuse my best cinematography, which was really good, and they were nominated for best picture. So that's pretty awesome, and for Netflix, and Netflix has even more stuff coming up, including a movie with Woody Harrelson and Kevin Costner being the lawmen that are hunting down Bonnie and Clyde, which I saw the trailer for today, and it looked really cool. So best adaptive screenplay, Spike Lee winning his first Oscar as one of the writers, with Kevin Wilmot, Charlie Watchett, and David Rabinowitz. I'm sure I botched the shit out of that. But, Spike Lee finally winning one. And the Knicks broke a 17-game losing streak at the same time, beating San Antonio, which they announced because Spike Lee was because Samuel Jackson was presenting the award, and I was actually messing with Spike Lee. He was like, they're tanking, which, they are. But they won for the movie Black Klansman, which is actually a pretty cool movie to go see.
Yeah, it's a good movie.
I really liked it. Best original screenplay, The Green Book won. That movie, that had its own things, but we'll get to it. Best foreign language film, Roma won, beating out Cold War and Shoplifters, which is a Korean and I believe that's a Czech movie. Best documentary feature, Free Solo, have no clue what that's about, but beating out RBG, which a lot of people thought was going to win, and Minding the Gap, kind of surprising. Best director went to Alfonso Cuarón for Roma, beating out Spike Lee, Adam McVeigh for Vice, and a couple other folks. Here's some cool ones, though. I was very excited about this. There was a lot of really good ones for the best animated feature, including Isles of Dogs, which is kind of like that, the Fantastic Mr. Fox, same animation, if you actually know what I'm talking about. Incredibles 2, Ralph Breaks the Internet. And then the winner, which I thought was very well-deserved, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse won an Oscar.
That was a good flick.
Awesome. Good Spider-Man. I love the story. I love how they mix a lot of actual Spider-Man stuff into it. Best Supporting Actress, Regina King, won for If Beale Street Could Talk, beating out Emma Stone, Rachel Weisz, and Amy Adams. Let's see. And Mr. Captain America himself, Chris Evans, actually jumped out of his seat to help her because she's got some high heels and kind of a longer dress. Got up out of his seat because he was right there at the front to help her up the stage. That man is Captain America, regardless if he's got the shield on or not. Yeah.
Fanboy.
Hey, I love Chris Evans. Like, let's see, for Best Supporting Actor, Mahershala Ali, from The Green Book won Best Supporting Actor, beating out Adam Driver for Black Klansman, Sam Rockwell in Vice, Sam Elliott, A Star Is Born, which made me sad because kind of wanted Sam Elliott to win.
Right.
But he still did a really good performance. One of the best speeches, one of the best accepting speeches was Olivia Colman for The Favorite. She actually had a really good story. She's been a lot of stuff, especially if you watch the Simon Pegg movies, like Shaun of the Dead and stuff. Like, she's in those. She's in a lot of British TV and comedy and stuff like that. This is one of her first really big solo roles in The Favorite, and she won. And she had like a great speech that brought a tear to my eye. I was like, oh my God, if there's anyone who's actually well deserving of any award, it's this person right here. Beating out Lady Gaga for A Star Is Born, who her and damn it, who was her co-star?
Bradley Cooper.
Bradley Cooper. There you go.
Man,
She
Spangy
was because she watched that.
Yeah,
one
I'm about to say she came flying across that freaking net on that one.
They had a lot of really good performances that night that I from the ones I saw, which I saw a couple of them, and then I rewatched stuff today. But the one from A Star Is Born where they sing the song "Shallow," if I'm correct, there was Bradley Cooper and Lady Gaga steamed the place up. Like it was.
Yeah.
They started separate, and then they're both on the piano, and they're both singing to each other. Nice tight shot of them. It was really good. Lady Gaga and Bradley Cooper really tore it up. And then Best Actor, my man Rami Malek won playing Freddie Mercury in Bohemian Rhapsody, which Bradley Cooper did a great job in Stars Born. William Dafoe and Attorney's Gates was pretty cool. Viggo Mortensen and The Green Book, and Christian Bale as Vice. It was a really stacked this year. Like there was only one that I was like, I hope he wins, and that was Rami Malek, because I've watched Bohemian Rhapsody. I'm a big Queen fan myself, but I've watched. So I was super critical, but I watched that, and I was like, if I can ever like from all the videos I've seen of Freddie Mercury in interviews, said that is the closest I think you could get to him himself.
Just think that it was going to be Sacha Baron Cohen was going to be that. Oh
my God!
Could you imagine him doing like Bruno? What's his name?
No, I don't. Yeah. I'm not even going
Borat.
to.
Could you think about?
I'm not even going to sully my.
Could you imagine?
Because if anyone could bring together one of the best frontman in all of rock and roll, and there's not arguably, he is probably the best frontman in all of rock and roll, beating out Robert Plant, beating out Steven Tyler. Beating out, you throw it out. Freddie Mercury beats it, but that's some big shoes to fill. I thought he did a great job, and he won the Best Actor for it. He did have a couple of shots saying, Freddie Mercury was an immigrant. Freddie Mercury was, he said something, a minority. So he kind of like adding some things, some punches at the administration, stuff like that. I don't care because, I was very happy he won. Yeah, so then you had Best Original Music Score, Mary Poppins, Isles of Dogs, If Beale Street Could Talk, Black Klansman, but Black Panther won its third Oscar for Best Original Music Score, which is pretty cool. Let's see, Best Sound Mixing went to Bohemian Rhapsody. Of course, if you watch the movie, it was awesome. It was like listening to Queen, the greatest hits, just played over throughout the thing. It was awesome. So Best Original Song, they actually played, what they do is when they do the Best Original Songs is throughout the show, they will actually do a live performance of these. You had When a Cowboy Trades His, I think it's boots or whatnot, but you had Casey Musgraves, who, just won like a bunch of Grammys for her latest album, Introduce them. You had Lady Gaga and Bradley Cooper do Shallow, All the Stars with Kendrick Lamar, The Place for Lost, and I'll Fight by Dana Warren. So they all sang them. I thought all the performances when I saw it were really good. Of course, Shallow was probably my favorite. That got me steamy. And then finally, because I know you guys are probably tired of talking about the Oscars, for Best Picture, there were some good ones in here. Roma, a Netflix original, Stars Born, Vice, Black Klansman.
Didn't it also was like the first time that Netflix kind of brought, or was it Netflix? Was it this the first year or the second year that Netflix was able to compete?
I think this is the second year they were actually able to compete.
Right.
This is the first year that anyone actually took anything serious outside of I think they had a documentary last year. I don't think they had anything of big in substance, but they, Roma, it is a foreign film. It is, if you can't stand that, then you're not going to like it. But if you kind of like seeing some stuff with subtitles, it's a really good story. It's definitely worth the watch, and it's on Netflix, so Shazam. And then you had Bohemian Rhapsody and The Green Book. Winning the Best Picture was The Green Book, which here's, a lot of people, today have thrown a lot of static, thinking that because there's a controversy after the movie came out. People are saying that this was told from the white character's point of view, which it was, and the black character's family, and no one in the family or him was actually like consulted or asked about it. There's some controversy about the original writer and some of the stuff that he wrote. Later being a little maybe slightly racist, slightly not so kosher. And then it also played into how a lot of people feel, where they went to the whole hashtag Oscars so white a couple years back, that you have a white character and a black character, and he doesn't feel he's racist, but he is racist. He sees that he's racist, and now they're best friends. And it's kind of like that whole trope that, white guy bad meets a black, you've got a black friend, now white guy good thing. So a lot.
It was based on a book, so that's why you really couldn't. It's just the timing of the release couldn't have not been any coincidental. You know what I mean?
No, I mean, I thought it was a good movie. I mean, I understand their point where, I kind of understand what they're talking about, but I don't think it's a factor of it not being a good enough movie. I probably would have maybe guessed A Star is Born or Bohemian Rhapsody over Green Book, but, Green Book was still a really good, was a good movie. I thought Ali and Morrison's portrayal of their characters was really good. So, I wasn't upset, but again, I'm also watching this stuff the day after. Now Spike Lee, like I said, during his speech, had like 2 pages and was reading notes, and a lot of it was trashing the president. Well, then the next day, today, the president went on Twitter. Actually, I think it was last night, right afterwards, went on Twitter and started bashing Spike Lee back. So those 2 knuckleheads were going back to back.
It's just like, God, stop. Dude, you are about to make another historic meeting with the Kim, in Vietnam.
He's already on the plane.
He's already on his way over there. Kim just stepped off his armored train in Vietnam, and you were like tweeting some stuff that you gotta, dude, man, this is game on. This ain't no time. This ain't time to be the clown or some shit. You got to be game on. I bet you. You know what? Never mind. No, not gonna do it. No, not gonna do it.
Some other things about the Oscars.
Yeah,
a lot
thank
of
you.
people felt that the pacing was a little quicker. There wasn't any kind of stale jokes or strange monologues or those little skits they try to do and stuff like that. And sometimes they're funny, but we're long past the days when Billy Crystal is hosting the Oscars and is killing it. We don't have that. One, we also didn't have the same type of social media back then, where everyone just like immediately, oh, I hate this person so much, that joke sucked. That can like live like hate it at the same time. Like usually have to wait for a couple articles to come out before people start hating it. We're at now the point where it's just instantly hated at the same time. So it makes it really hard. If I was actually super talented and could host the Oscars, I wouldn't, because it almost feels like a career kick in the nuts. I'm doing really good. What's slowing me down? Let's host the Oscars. But I mean, we're past the days of really good hosts running the show. So who knows? A lot of these award shows have been on the downturn. I know we talk about it quite a bit, but they have been on the downturn. This is the first time it's had a rise in viewership for the Oscars in like the last 5 years, if not maybe a little longer. Who knows? Maybe next year they do the same thing and they just let the presenters have a little more fun, including one of my favorite presenters. I don't know if Spanky's going to agree with me or not, was Melissa McCarthy, and I forget the gentleman who was with her, presenting the Best Costume Award, Oscar, and they were, you need to look it up. She was dressed in this big, gaudy, lavish outfit, and she had stuffed animals on her, and as she was talking, she had a little stuffed animal on her hand, and she was like, it was you have to watch it. I highly suggest like looking up, because it's pretty funny, and it brought a good bit of humor, but not like stupid humor, and it wasn't politically charged and stuff like that. It was actually just funny. And this was one of the least political Oscars or award shows in a hot second. And it was and I agree with you, it was kind of enjoyable because of that. Like, you're right. I don't watch baseball for the 7th inning stretch for somebody to tell me their stance on abortion or immigration or wars and stuff like that. I just want to watch baseball. Right,
exactly. I don't want to hear about that other crap. I mean, you can talk about this stuff over dinner after the game, or when we're stumbling out to the parking lot after having a couple beers, but not to.
Well, like the award shows are just you guys patting yourselves on the back. And it's weird. Like, I love the memes. They're like, they have, fence that says you're not authorized to be here. It's like, huh. Well, I mean, there's a lot of double standards going on. There's a lot of, we're going to pat ourselves on the back. And, if you look past it, if they could just accept the fact that they're like, what is it? Lady Gaga wore a $30,000 diamond necklace that Audrey Hepburn wore at one point. Like, it's just this massive, just giant damn diamond. And then people tell, but then the same group of people that also a lot of times tell people how they should live, and stuff like that. And it is a double standard. But when you look past that, and I think that's why a lot of people has been hating on Award Show, is that we're going to go out there, we're going to pat we did great, we are awesome. You people should vote for who I tell you.
Right. It's a popularity contest, man. You know what I mean? You want to go by
at least for the Oscars, it was less of that.
I'll tell you what. I will support the popular vote for our elections if you support the popular vote for your movies. You know what I mean? These are the same type of individuals. See, I'm getting political now. These are the same type of individuals that want a popular vote for our elections, but you see them stroking themselves in their own specific way for these movies. I've never heard of any of these movies that had come out. I mean, honestly, I've seen them, and I've seen them broadcast, and there was a couple of them that were in contention that I did see. But there was all the other obscure ones. I didn't see those, and they won. You know what I mean? I'm like, I don't know. They were unpopular, so no. You know what I mean? If you want to use that mentality,
yeah.
But that's just me.
So I mean, it was. I don't know if Spanky agrees, and feel free to chime in. But for me, from the bits and pieces I saw last night and what I saw the highlights today, it was a decently enjoyable Oscars, which is, What do you think, Spanky?
I agree because for the first time in forever, I didn't feel like I was getting politics shoved down my throat, and that's why I enjoyed it. I wasn't going to watch it because I usually watch The Walking Dead, which has not been enjoyable lately.
Oh
so
my God.
I decided to
I haven't watched
for the last.
I haven't watched for the last 3 years.
Couple years.
Yeah, I have.
I know,
sucks.
but I'm stuck on that ship. I've invested way too many years of my life into it, but I'm gonna watch that tomorrow night.
Well, I have one complaint about the Oscars. That's a huge complaint, is the fact that they had forgot a lot of people in memoriam. You know how they have we remember so-and-so. They forgot.
Yes.
They forgot.
They always do. They always miss some, like,
well, because it's not who they like. It's a popularity contest. So they miss Gunny. They miss Arlene Ermy. They miss Mini-Me, Vern Troyer, Dick Miller, best known for playing a World War II vet in the Gremlins movies. Danny Lanier, the director of Harold and Kumar, and Dude, Where's My Car? Carol Channing, who's broken through a lot of the barriers for women in Hollywood, and no one took her serious as a comedian to do it. Sandra Locke, you guys remember Any Which Way But Loose and all those movies that Clint Eastwood started in the 80s and 70s? That was always his love interest. Sandra Locke, she died too. Stanley Donen, dude, Singing in the Rain, freaking. Blame It on Rio. I mean, just name all the old notables of old school Hollywood. They got forgotten.
Now, the only other thing about the Oscars that kind of that rub people the wrong way, and this actually happened before the Oscars even started, was the fact that the Oscars announced that a lot of these categories that are like, for sound mixing and sound editing and stuff like that weren't going to actually be shown on TV. They were going to be the non-TV,
right,
ones.
The non-sexy stuff. The non-sexy stuff. Yeah,
a lot of people were super pissed, and I completely agree.
I tell you what, do you know who's making an actress sound good and look good? It ain't freaking makeup. It's the damn cinematography, the director of photography, the sound editing, and the audio engineering and stuff like that. That's
it. It's not the best picture. It's not the best actor. It's not the sexiest awards. I got you, but these are still critical. These are now talkies. These are sound pictures, and you need actual sound. So a lot, and I applaud. It wasn't just people like your everyday people that were complaining about this. It was many of the actors and producers and directors that were actually going to bat for these groups, because I went to film school. I understand how on, because I was a sound mixer for two of the final projects I did when I was graduating, and I remember how thankless it was. How you're like sitting in some dark corner trying to get as quiet as possible to make sure everything sounds good and there's no plane that goes over. And then afterwards, hoping not everything gets redubbed. And there's a lot of jobs with making a movie that are kind of thankless, that aren't even an Oscar category, but the ones that are, it kind of was a shit thing for the Academy to do. I'm glad they reversed the decision, but I tell you what, a lot of either the presenters or the winners let the Academy know, understand that they done fucked up. They messed up with doing that, and it just changing it back wasn't going to like fix the problem, because it's kind of a slap in the face to the hardworking unionized sound mixers and grips and lighting folks and cinematographers.
Right.
There's so
the
much.
The ones that you always see the actors and actresses schmoozing up to make sure they get more screen time, to make sure their shit's not on the cutting room floor.
The ones that don't have a trailer, that don't have a shooting schedule because they're always there. Like they're the ones that aren't getting paid millions of dollars to be on this camera, but are working sometimes 3 times as hard as the actors themselves, because they're there from the start to the fin. I could speak for like an hour on how awesome the guys that aren't your director and your director of photography and your director and stuff like that. But I'm glad the Academy changed, and I'm glad that the folks that sometimes are kind of complete douchebags and self-absorbed actually, kind of shed that and went, hey, y'all, you need to fix this. You done messed up, Aaron.
We're going to take a break. We got our guest coming up, Miyoko Hikiji, and we're going to shoot the breeze about her book. And I can't wait to discuss hot button topics as a female veteran as well. So this is going to be kind of cool. So y'all stand by, and shots.
WTF Nation Radio. WTF Nation Radio.
Take it from me, Ice. You can't just float around space not caring about stuff forever.
The voice of U.S. Army. WTF Moments. This is WTF Nation Radio. Shit in the bag, Pogue.
Okay, good. Yeah, she's not calling for a minute.
tell me what it is to see when you look at me deep into the photography. I don't really need your sympathy, just tell me your thoughts. Have I got what they got, and is it a plot done for naught? Am I not like you because I do what I do? Who knew that I could lose a few of you cause I bleed blue? But it's true, I know cause I see it every day as I work and I sleep the day away. Like you I have pain and like you I have fear. Can I pay all of the bills and still make it through the year? Will I make it home alive? Should I pray to the sky every day and every night? Will I hold you by my side? But in the public eye, I don't even have a heart. A robot of the system moving only when I'm told to start. Rip apart my art, I'm strong like a flower blooming. You got it all wrong, I know I breathe. And like you see, I see. And like you need, I need. And like you bleed, I bleed. Don't treat me like an object, I'm tested and proven. Mind, heart, and soul, I'll always be a human. Like you breathe, I breathe. And like you see, I see. And like you need, I need. And like you bleed, I bleed. Don't treat me like an object, I'm tested and proven. Mind, heart, and soul, I'll always be a human.
Call me a vet like a soldier. Green beret, 21 gun salute, don't wanna see the day. In the constant war zone, in the home of the brave, where they hate the police until they saving the day. I got kids like you, a mortgage like you, so blue lives matter, and so does yours too. All this separation and divide, open your eyes. If you cut us all open, we the same inside. The only difference is I run to the gunfight. Your peace when it's chaos, when the people don't act right. But I'm under scrutiny for trying to protect me. You pull a pistol and I'm shooting for trying to contest me. I got a quick second to make a deadly decision. The media betrayed me like a kid for a living. Like I'm cold with no heart, a brain with no thoughts, a body with no feeling, a life with no cause.
Like you breathe, I breathe. And like you see, I see. And like you need, I need. And like you bleed, I bleed. Don't treat me like an object, I'm tested and proven. Mind, heart, and soul, I'll always be a human. Like you breathe, I breathe. And like you see, I see. And like you need, I need. And like you bleed, I bleed. Don't treat me like an object, I'm tested and proven. Mind, heart, and soul, I'll always be a human. I'm damned if I do, and damned if I don't. It's like every single time I say what's on my mind, they go for my throat, they spew evil words. If you are absurd, always grinding, grinning, and killing my soul with these verbs. Hold me down, like I can't gasp for air. I'm closed inside of a box, like I'm inside Fort Knox. Every time that I'm there, I don't know why they think that I'm different from you. All that's true is I'm a like you breathe, I breathe. And like you see, I see. And like you need, I need. And like you bleed, I bleed. Don't treat me like an object, I'm tested and proven. Mind, heart, and soul, I'll always be a human. Like you breathe, I breathe. And like you see, I see. And like you need, I need. And like you bleed, I bleed. Don't treat me like an object, I'm tested and proven. Mind, heart, and soul, I'll always be a human. Like you breathe, I breathe. And like you see, I see. And like you need, I need. And like you bleed, I bleed. Don't treat me like an object, I'm tested and proven. Mind, heart, and soul, I'll always be a human. Like you breathe, I breathe. And like you see, I see. And like you need, I need. And like you bleed, I bleed. Don't treat me like an object, I'm tested and proven. Mind, heart, and soul, I'll always be a human.
I am here determined to stop this future atrocity.
This station is now the ultimate power in the universe. I suggest we use it.
The voice of U.S. Army, WTF Moments. This is WTF Nation Radio.
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
Everything stated on WTF Nation Radio is to be considered the opinion of the person that stated it, and not an official representation of WTF Nation Radio or U.S. Army WTF Moments.
Price does not include tax, title, or license. Some assembly required. Each item sold separately. Batteries not included. Objects in mirror are closer than they appear. If conditions persist, contact a physician. Individual results may vary. Keep out of the reach of children. Avoid prolonged exposure to direct sunlight. Keep in a cool, dark place. And
please enjoy the show. Shots.
And we're back, part 2 of the Monday edition with Ice and Flash on WTF Nation Radio with our guest, Miyoko Hikiji. Welcome to WTF Nation Radio.
Hey, good to be here.
Wow, your story. I was kind of doing some research on there, and wow. Could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Well, I'm originally from Iowa, despite kind of my unusual sounding name. Joined the Army at 18, like all smart kids do. Did a couple of years doing a tour from what they tell me is armpit to armpit, from Fort Polk, Louisiana to Fort Bliss, Texas. Joined the Guard after that and did a couple of years while I was going to school, and then got to take a 14-month field trip to Iraq in 2003 and 4. So, and then just been kind of hanging out here at home, doing some work with people with disabilities ever since. And then working on my book and spending time doing stuff like this, kind of getting the story out there.
Now, tell us a little bit about your book, All I Could Be.
I think I originally wanted to, make sure that people kind of got that day in the life of a soldier, especially a female soldier, which wasn't a story that was, really being told. And, especially if somebody who did kind of a mundane job like mine, like I was a truck driver. So, there aren't going to be a lot of, Oscar-winning films on truck driving in Iraq, but, it was still an exciting story to live, and it was an important one. It's, part of the team, and I certainly wanted people to kind of get an idea of, like, what the bigger picture looks like to be in the service, especially, to give credit to people in Iowa, the 2133rd Transportation Company who went there with the 3rd ACR, just, a phenomenal group of people, and especially to, keep that story alive for Aaron Sissel and David Kirchhoff. I have to start out saying their names right away because they didn't come home.
Right.
And that's an important thing to do, is to make sure that memory is kept alive.
Now, what made you want to do it? I mean, was there a catalyst? Was there something, an event that happened that made you decide, what, I'm going to bust out a book. I'm going to start writing. What was the thing that got you going? I've always sort of been a writer, so I was always interested in that. I didn't realize that was going to be the first, big story that I was going to work on, but it was the first big story that I lived. So it really came naturally to me. I think there were a lot of moments like along the way that I realized, just were like almost unbelievable, that just didn't really, fit into what my family or my friends or, my high school, that wouldn't know what was really going on. So I thought, people really deserve to know, a little bit about what that experience was like. So how did you, so was there, did you have any, did you have any issues? I mean, cause I know you're talking about a woman warrior in Iraq, and lately the roles of women in combat and all that has been heating back up. So did you run into any of that stuff as well? I'll just say it, the standard dude saying, hey, you can't, what are you doing here? You're not supposed to be, did you get any of that at all?
Like how many times a day? No.
Okay. Wow. Really?
Yeah, well, I think that still existed quite a bit. And even when I came home and I had the book and I started, speaking to audiences and stuff, I think people were still very much under the impression that, women weren't being deployed. They weren't being deployed in big numbers. Right. They weren't being deployed anywhere where they could be in danger because, truck driving wasn't the infantry. So, what could go wrong? Well, like an IED could go wrong. So right. There was a lot of stuff I think people didn't really consider. And so, yeah, I mean, there was always a lot of that then. I hope some of that's changed. And, I've been back on a few installations since and have really heard that, some of that culture change and acceptance is there. And, I'm really glad to hear that, because I don't know that there was, that was really quite going on back then.
Right. Now, when you returned from Iraq, is that when it started? Like you just decided to say, hey, I'm going to put this pen to paper, or was it when you became a historian for the unit? What was the What got you kicked off on that one?
Well, I think when I came home, there wasn't another story that I could even think about writing first. Like
Right.
that was really it. There was a lot going on, for me personally. So I had spent some time writing letters home and stuff. And I told my family, while I was gone, hang on to that, maybe I'll do something with that someday. And I think I kind of knew that I was going to come home and maybe try to use that to put something together that was going to be, accurate and honest and truthful along the way. And that's kind of how it got started.
Now, did you at all seek any inspiration? Did anybody help you out? Did anybody you had in particular that said, yeah, you should go for it, or anyone stuck in your head?
Yeah, actually, Deborah Engel, she is a wonderful author and a wonderful woman who lives here. She's not a veteran, but she was somebody that I sought out when I was looking for some professional advice, because I think when somebody starts out saying, hey, I want to write a book, a lot of people say, yeah, everybody says that. And so there weren't a lot of people who were like, oh, yeah, cool, here's how you do it. Or, right. Oh, yeah, sure, I'll go buy that in a year. Like, I don't know that people were really thinking that was going to happen. But she kind of helped me take my essays and my letters and really string together a strong story, and, believed in me from the very beginning. And kind of her professional advice really, it really helped me to get the book together.
Right. Did you get any I know you said there's a lot of people that said, yeah, you want to buy it. Was it hard getting a literary agent or someone to write it, or was this just she helped you get connected to the right people?
There was just a little bit of luck along with that. Once I had a draft and I did some really hard editing and started sending out some book proposals to different publishers. I got a lot of rejection letters and was just kind of waiting to get to that nth, letter where somebody said yes. And I was, just talking to a friend, like at a grocery store. It was kind of something like that. And it was actually a radio guy. So, hey, thanks, radio guys. And he said, I know this friend who he's kind of like a book reviewer or something. Maybe he knows somebody. And so I gave it to this radio guy who gave it to his friend, and that's kind of how he found History Publishing. So
did you find it a little like nerve wracking? You're thinking, okay, I'm going to write this book, and you just talked about book reviews. Did it kind of like intimidate you a little bit, or did you just say, no, I'm throwing caution to the wind and just going for it?
Oh no, I mean, there was a little bit of scared shitless there because. I had this tremendous obligation to fairly represent my unit in all the good and a little bit of the bad and the ugly, and being responsible for that sort of a truth that becomes public in a way that other people's private truths don't. I mean, that was something that really weighed on me. And so I wanted to find a way to do that with grace and with honor. And, but I knew at some point it was only going to be so perfect and so right for everybody. It mostly had to be right for me. It had to be the truth as I knew it for myself. And so, I did kind of reach that point where I knew there were at least 2 or 3 people who were never going to talk to me ever again after I wrote that.
Oh, okay. So there's some of that in there too, huh?
I think there's always that guy. Everybody's got it.
Yeah. Nobody wants to be the Captain Sobel, like in Brand of Brothers, the guy, you know what I mean? Nobody wants to be that guy.
That's right.
So did it, Now, once you were going back and forth, did you have any times where you were stuck? I mean, what were you looking at as the what did you want the reader to get out of it? Is this more of your personal history? Is it more of a unit history? Is it kind of combined?
It's kind of combined. I mean, there's a lot of my personal history. I think, I'm the expert on my own life. And so that was a good place for me to start without trying to get into places that maybe I wasn't really sure I could tell accurately enough. But there's quite a bit of commentary just on kind of that dynamic between being a female in a mostly male unit, and before my guard unit, which had close to 25% women. I came from a unit that only had about 3% women in active duty, so that was a kind of a story that I had long lived and been really sensitive to, and I was really looking for some ways for people to kind of get a little bit awakened to the potential that women had, the equal, contribution that women had, and that maybe people were just kind of glazing over. So I just wanted to, hit that hammer one more time.
Right. No, I hear you. Now, on that note too, did something click while you were writing that you're going back to the scared shitless factor, that a hidden fact about you that would only be known if they had read the book?
A hidden fact.
Yeah. So there's a hidden side of you that you probably wrote it down in the book, but you haven't told anybody. Did you do something like that?
I think my family was pretty surprised because there are a lot of things that you don't like share with your mom or something like that later on when you really have to put it into perspective, it just sounds a lot different, it looks a lot different, it feels different. And so there was probably some of that, but for the most part, I sort of am just who I am, and so I don't know that anybody was like not figuring that out for sure. I mean, that I think it sounds true to who I am and who I was.
Right. So some of the highlights from from some of the book, just glancing over, what were you seeing about promotions in your unit that you saw, that you highlighted?
Oh, what did I see about promotions? Like I wasn't getting one?
Or... well, you highlighted some promotions to people that didn't deserve it.
Yeah, I think that's kind of a sticky part of, the politics in the military, and hopefully some of those things don't work exactly the same way, but I was a good soldier on active duty, and I was pretty good at PT, which I thought meant like almost everything.
Right.
But there was a lot in which I think I was kind of being left behind and underestimated, and just not really looked at harder, because sometimes if things weren't quite right, I might speak up about it, and that wasn't popular. It's not popular. It's not a part of the military culture. And so in that way, I feel like there were ways in which I was passed over, which I thought were unfair. And I feel like I have some peace with that now, because of other things that I was able to accomplish in life. That wasn't my end game necessarily.
Right.
But at the time it was hard to be an E4 forever. I can tell you that.
So you were totally involved in the E4 mafia. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely.
Now, were you did write a little bit before though, right? Before you started off this book?
I was a journalism student in school when I was deployed. So I was writing some newspaper articles and stuff like for the school paper and some other smaller things, but I had never tackled like a large project or a large publication.
Right. So when did you join the Army? When was your first? You said you started off in active duty. Could you tell us about your military history?
Yeah, I went to an air defense artillery unit at Fort Polk. I was a 92 Yankee. I was a supply clerk. I rolled around with a bunch of Avengers, which, like, I don't even know where those are anymore. I think they're gone.
Avengers, yeah. I think they're still around. I think.
Yeah, I don't think they're around anymore. And then when I went to the Guard, they, OJT'd me into an 88 Mike, because, like, anybody can drive a truck. And so I was kind of the supply clerk, but I mostly drove a truck. And when I went to Iraq, they didn't need a supply clerk. They needed a truck driver. So that's what I ended up doing, was running missions. And then when I realized they needed truck drivers, I realized that truck driver meant and anything else that we need you to do. So I really had a chance to, see a lot more of the country than I expected to see.
And then you finished up your tour, and then you said you joined the Guard afterwards, right?
Yeah, I did 3 years on active duty from 95 to 98.
Mm-hmm.
I did sign up for 5 years in the Guard while I was going to college, and I was mobilized 3 days before my ETS. That's how I got that 9th year in, because it would have been 8, but it was 9.
Right.
And at 9, I was completely satisfied. That was good enough for me.
that was it, huh? You didn't want to deal with it. Did you go back and forth in memories of your childhood to write, like, what was some of the moments that you had that were most difficult while you were deployed? What was it that kept you centered when you were writing stuff down like that, when you were writing some of the hard parts of the book?
I don't know if it was being centered so much on childhood and things like that. I think it was mostly just on the memory of, Sissel. That was a life-changing moment for me, to have someone that close to me die. So
Correct.
That really, the idea of, I had this opportunity to do something more with my life. Every day I wake up, I got to learn that value of life, that gift of a day at such a young age, that it wasn't easy every day, but I always knew that, that was a huge responsibility, and it was a huge gift, and I needed to do something worthwhile with it. And so I really did kind of just focus on, knowing that if I didn't have a way to tell that story or do that, maybe more people wouldn't know about him, and everybody deserved to know about him because he was that good of a guy. So
could you tell us about what happened and tell us a little bit about him?
We were both running kind of different missions. I was coming up north from somewhere around like Ramadi, up to Al Assad, and he was up at Haditha at the dam coming south. And we were, on the road about to meet, like close to where the post gates would have been, and his convoy got ambushed, and so he was killed in that attack. And my convoy got kind of derailed and moved in another direction, and we weren't able to get there, and the QRF couldn't get there in time either.
And where was he from?
He was from Tipton, Iowa, a real small town around where I grew up.
And you was the only KIA in your organization? Was that the only KIA that you had in your unit?
In my truck driver company, David Kirchhoff, who was also from Cedar Rapids, had a heat stroke in his truck and died also. And then in the 3rd ACR that we ran for, there were 50 total.
Right. Now, what was the story about your battle?
Oh.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did you want me to just go next question? Do you ever have writer's block? No, I'm just kidding. What's your kryptonite?
No, he's a great guy, and he was a great guy, and it was a really difficult environment. I mean, there's a part of everybody that is looking out for each other and has a bigger mission in mind, and then there's a part of everybody that just like wants to fucking save their ass. They just want to come home, and you're kind of always stuck between those two worlds of like survival and like doing the bigger thing. And I think he was just confronted with a lot of stuff driving with me. He was like 6'3", and I was like about a foot shorter than that, and I imagine he thought a lot less strong or resilient for that, and was just maybe nervous about whether that was a liability to him. And some of that's a guess, because we got along really, really well until we didn't get along really, really well. So I don't really know. We never got a chance to talk that out, but I don't have any hard feelings toward him. But at the time, being confronted with the idea that I might not be good enough to keep rolling with him, that hurt. That wasn't easy for me.
Right.
But I get it now, because it's been a long time, and I can look back and say, we were all kind of young and dumb, and sometimes we just do that, and I don't take it to heart anymore.
Gotcha. I mean, I didn't want to, you didn't want to bring it up like that, but my apologies. I didn't mean to throw a rock there. But so you had you also had a threat. You had your NCO was pissed off at you about having a relationship. What was up with that?
Well, it was hard to tell, because he was just kind of a shitbaggy for like me, and so it didn't seem like there was no threat there. But I think there was a lot of jealousy and a lot of emotions and stuff, and not everybody liked the idea that in a really crappy place that there could be something that like made me happy. It just seemed like it was out of place, and sometimes people want to destroy other people's happiness. It's hard to say. I didn't get to see my boyfriend very often while I was deployed, but just hanging on to that little bit of hope, that's huge in a place like that. So
no, I got you. No, everyone's done that. That's not uncommon for something like that to happen in a deployed theater. So I know there was probably some. You're right. It was probably some jealousy. Well, yeah. Well, exactly. So did you get to see your boyfriend a lot while you were there? I mean, was it one of those things to where, hey, it was kind of like, did everyone kind of like tiptoe around it? Did everybody know about it or whatever? I mean, I know that's a little bit. I didn't want to get too personal about it in the book, but
everybody knew about it, but since we were running missions in different squads and in different platoons in different directions, we really didn't see each other that much. I think we only had about 3 missions in the same convoy while we were there. He was off on, always at another base somewhere. So, I didn't see him very much, but I do think that people, I mean, the way we carried ourselves, I'd have to say might not work in like the workplace here, but like there, it just was what it was. And so,
Right.
yeah, everybody was well aware of that.
So no one gave you too much crap about it. I mean, you were both Joes too, right? Considered specialists anyway,
Right.
so it's not like
Right.
everyone was gonna give you anything. So so far, how's the book been received?
I think really well, and that's been, a really nice gift for me is that I'll get a letter, and I live, in a suburb of Des Moines. It's not real huge, and somebody will read something in a magazine or hear something, and they'll send me a letter that just says like Miyoko Hikiji in Urbandale, Iowa, and it finds me because they don't know my address, and maybe they don't know how to look it up, and they'll tell me their story, or they'll tell me about when they were in Vietnam, or they'll tell me about a buddy that they lost, and they always say thank you. And so for me, like, for every once in a while I get someone who isn't really crazy about it and tells me in so many words, that's like nothing compared to, all the people who are just glad that, people keep telling soldier stories and just keep injecting that into the fabric of American life, because with so few people serving, that are American citizens, those are stories that everybody needs to know.
Right, exactly. What's your family background? I mean, I don't want, because when you hear Miyoko Hikiji in Iowa, I mean that's Japanese, correct? That's you're descendant of Japanese heritage.
Yeah, it ain't Dutch. It is. It's half Japanese. My father is Japanese American and was in the army also.
Gotcha.
And my mother is Czechoslovakian.
Oh wow, that's okay. That's you never. I was expecting to hear somebody from Iowa.
There's a lot of us here. I think I got 4 brothers and sisters. So.
Oh wow.
That's it. Yeah.
Wow. Oh come on, Miyoko. I had to ask. I mean, come on. Everyone's gonna say, the audience is probably saying Miyoko in Iowa. Well, where's she from? I had to ask the question. I'm sorry.
Oh no, I take it. I understand.
So some of the veteran groups that you're involved in, could you tell us a little about what veterans organizations you're with?
Sure. One thing that I've been doing is Vets Journey Home for a couple years now. It's a veterans organization that does weekend retreats for people with post-traumatic stress. They get a chance to get away, go out into the wilderness, hang out with each other, tell their stories, and it's been a really interesting experience for me. The first time I went as a participant. I was kind of tricked into going by a friend of mine she said she needed a battle buddy. And so I was going to go to help her out. And then I got there and realized she'd signed me up because I was all messed up and I didn't know it. So that was kind of interesting for me. But when I experienced it, I realized just like the value and the weight that could be taken off by just spending some time with like people who understand and don't judge and telling your story. So I started going back as a staff person and just to be that same audience for other veterans who are newer and who are coming back. And that's been hugely valuable to me. I've done that with some writers' workshops also to just do it from kind of a writing perspective instead of a storytelling perspective. And I just read some incredible stories and, at like open mic nights and stuff to hear people just come out with just some incredible stuff. It's really, I think that's part of what it is we need to do for each other.
Right. You're involved in some writing scholarships as well?
With some writing scholarships?
Correct.
I was a Greenlee Scholarship Award recipient, like for going to Iowa State University. So that was part of the way, besides my GI Bill, I paid my way through school.
Uh-huh. Now, was that how did you get that? I mean, how was it? Was it a competition? Was it what did you have to do to get that scholarship?
That's like going back into the memory file, and I don't know if it's going to come up anymore. I'm sure it was. I'm sure it was based on grade point average and an essay or something similar to that.
Right.
The Greenlee School of Journalism at Iowa State is, endowed by some former journalism students who did very well for themselves, and so they participate in giving back to the university for some newer students. And I imagine that's what that was, but gee, I can't remember what it was I did.
Right. So it wasn't connected to any type of veteran organizations or anything like that?
No, that wasn't. That was through Iowa State University.
Right. No pun intended. Right. I'm sorry. I said you've been saying throwing right, and writing this and writing that, and I just said right awkwardly. What was the hardest part about writing the book? Was there a portion where you got stuck, where you were writing about something and you just had to like put the draft down and go, I have to take a breath and go smoke a cigarette or something?
I don't know. There were a lot of hard nights. I wrote most of it kind of in the middle of the night. And there were a lot of times when it was just really overwhelming for me, and not necessarily just a particular situation, but because all of the moments and all of the days and the people really just brought back a lot for me. There was just a lot of compressed emotion and experience that took a long time to unravel. And so I think that's part of what the book did for me too. I had a chance to, just unpack all of it and really take a look at it from an outsider and not as the person living the story. And I got to examine it and really think about it. And so, yeah, there were a lot of hard nights for me to just work through, the truth of what happened. And, the value of me getting some of those letters and notes back from my family that I'd sent home was I realized that there were a lot of things that happened I hadn't remembered.
Right. I was about to say it probably jarred your memory back, right?
Yeah, because there were plenty of things that I was like, well, I wrote this down then, but geez, I don't even remember that happening really. So that was kind of a difficult part of it too. That made me really think about, what reality is and why it is that we can't even have another person in the same unit go back and judge a story or judge someone's experience, because there's just so many things that happen in different ways for different people. It's the truth and the experience, because
right.
There's hardly any facts at that point. There's just a lot of chaos.
Did you do any editing? Like there was some stuff you're like, I'm not going to put it in there. I mean, you said how many drafts, how many edits did it go through?
Quite a few. I probably wrote the first draft in about a year, and I edited for about 6 months. So that I spent quite a bit of time really looking at that. I don't know that I scrapped a lot. I think there were other themes and other ideas and other details I probably would have run with that could have made it much longer. But at some point I realized, there's a lot of characters in a unit, and they can't all exist in a story. Otherwise you can't follow that and have it be meaningful. So really just focusing on a core set of issues and a core set of people was the best way for me to make it coherent enough for somebody else to see the book all the way through to the end and actually get something out of it.
Did it at all? Did you think you got your you think you got your emotions across? Did you get it all out? Let's put it that way. Did you get your feelings out in the book, or do you feel like you can probably write some more or write another story about it?
I actually did start a second book, and so apparently not. It can be really hard because all of those emotions actually, change over time. I've been speaking for a long time now since, the book came out, and after hundreds of speeches, there are lots of times where I, come across, a Memorial Day or a Veterans Day or a something. And, I say, Aaron's name or something, and it just really hits me all over again. So, I think that's not a bad thing. I don't want to be, emotionless. I don't think anything that I feel about it, rules my day, but it certainly affects the way that I live. But I usually look at that as in a good way at this point. I don't ever want to forget, and I don't ever want to, take that experience for granted or not feel, sorrow anymore, because the truth of it is that it's sad. I mean, lose somebody, it's just a sad thing. And so I don't think that'll ever go away, but I certainly don't have an axe to grind.
No, I was just curious because I know you were, you said about the edits. I was just wondering if, I know me, I ramble. So there'll be something that I'll talk about. If I were to put it to a book, and then I'll be like, oh crap, after the book's been published. You know what I mean? I didn't get that. You know what I mean? I would just,
yeah. I mean, I think I took some pretty big risks to say a lot more than maybe what some people might say about themselves. I didn't try to paint myself as, the picture of a perfect person or a perfect soldier or anything like that, but just a flawed young and dumb soldier, just like, we all were back then. And so I feel pretty okay about that.
Well, yeah, back then. Well, I was over 30 back in that day, so I'm pretty old. So when the young shit doesn't count for me. So you were saying, so basically, you really got it just like a book half finished then, or starting to form, right?
Right.
What's it going to be about? Can you give us a little bit of a sneak peek?
Well, I felt really compelled to start to tell the story about, kind of the war that lives on when people first come home. That's not an unfamiliar story, but it was just another part of, how everything looked different when I came home, how everything moved a lot slower, how people cared about things I didn't care about anymore. And, how that just really affected my day-to-day life. I don't know what I'm going to do with it at this point. I may finish it and try to publish it. I'm not really sure, but for, wherever it's at, I'm just kind of making some considerations with that. I guess I'm not really sure what I want to do. The first one I really knew, and this time around, I'm not really sure.
Okay. Now, now is this story that you're going to rewrite? Are you collecting stories from other individuals as vets? Or are you going to this is your own, again, another personal move to explain, go through your experience, and how are you dealing with it?
Well, right now it is personal, but I have worked on a couple anthologies of women's writing and war writing with other authors. And so that's something that I think is, much more valuable to just a reader who's going to pick up a book and get, a glimpse of a couple stories from women of different conflicts and different branches of service and different, the officer corps or whatever. So a much larger picture for somebody who's just looking to get, a little bit of information. So I've had a good time, collaborating with some women on some books like that. So, that's why I'm not sure. I think maybe the second story so far has been more for myself than anything else, but that could turn a corner and I could do something else with it yet. I'm just not sure.
Yeah, I hear you. No, you're talking about coming back, and you drove a truck in Iraq. So I couldn't even imagine. I've drove some convoys in Iraq too, in Baghdad and up in the north as well. Out where you were at as well in the 30th CR. You were probably out in Talifar, right, with Colonel McMaster when he was the commander out there, correct?
I don't know.
My whole point being is that I know the frustration when you get back and everyone's driving with no purpose. You don't like being stuck in a position where you feel like you're getting surrounded, and then when the light turns green, everyone's kind of like waiting there, I don't know, 10, 15 seconds to, I don't know, hit the gas. And I mean, come on, you admit it. You probably got a truck you want to ram, in between the cars, right? I do.
Yeah, no, definitely driving was just a completely new experience. I mean, going from driving a truck to just coming home and driving a POV, man, I was like, it felt like driving a go-kart around town. It just didn't feel right. And then, yeah, I mean, there were a lot of things about just being impatient or just, just looking at the whole, ride differently. Like, I just didn't feel like I was going for a drive or just getting somewhere. Like, everything was just a mission for me for so long. Life was so serious. And it took some time for me to really think about, unwinding that and slowing it down and just getting back to just the way sort of regular life was going to be from there on out, because I was never going to be living like that again.
Right.
So.
Right. Okay, so now I'm going to ask you some questions that kind of have to do with some of the times that are going on right now. And this just all for your, this is nothing that has to do, you can answer however you want. There's no trick questions. It's just there's a lot of debate, and me and Flash talk about this before, and then the station's position. But we don't care about like anybody who wants to who wants to join the fight, male or female, feel free. Do you think people are not remembering history when it comes to something like women being in combat? Because I feel like they've forgotten. I feel like they didn't realize that there was women in combat already. What do you feel about that?
As far as like people still deploying today?
Well, there's people debating about it. I'm seeing a trend of everyone saying that, go back to the kitchen mentality. So I'm just wondering what your take is on it as well, about women in combat roles.
Oh, I was going to say, I don't meet those people very often, so they must know. Just stay away.
Trust me, in our world, and Flash will tell you, we see all the drama on Twitter, Facebook about guys just going, like, they're there are some individuals in our civilian congressional leadership that a woman deploying to them right now, they think it's a new thing. It's almost like they knew that women were deployed before, but they didn't realize they were getting so involved in the frontline stuff. And to me, I'm just like, how could you not know?
Right.
The war, the war on terror started in 2001, and then we kicked off in Iraq in 2003. Jessica Lynch, anybody kind of remember that? The first the first POWs were female.
Yeah.
So it was, I just can't believe, and I'm just wondering, I mean, obviously you just answered a little bit of it. So you don't see that, you're like, what the hell's up with these guys? Do they not know that we're already in combat?
Well, it's unfortunate that, some people are still grossly uninformed, but I think that's probably true. And, one thing I usually ask, audiences is how many women do they think were deployed for, Desert Storm, Desert Shield, when that was a lot closer to being brand new. I realize women were still in the fight, since the beginning of war, but, that was where it was really a news story. That's when it was on the cover of Time magazine. It was about, if my memory serves me correctly, about 40,000 women at the time. And for, the global war on terror, it's, probably closer to 300,000 women. So, those numbers have just climbed, exponentially, but people don't see that. And that's because women aren't exponentially represented in media for filling in those roles. If there's only just one token story or two or three, we're just really not getting the full picture. And so I still think the prototype, when people think of the American military, the American soldier, it still looks like G.I. Joe. It doesn't look like G.I. Jane. And so it's hard to change that mindset. And if you can't change the mindset and be open to that, then it doesn't matter what kind of information people throw at you. You'll still believe what it is that and people are having a hard time just, I don't know.
Well, it's because I was around for Desert Storm, and you're right. There was 40,000 women that were in Desert Storm. 15 of them were killed, and then two of them were imprisoned by Iraqi forces. So, and this was just Desert Storm. By the way, it's the anniversary of the ground invasion right now. The Desert Storm kicked off, Desert Storm, not Desert Shield, but I see it going back and forth with, I was there type thing. It's almost like someone saying, no, there was no women that deployed. What are you talking about? And like you said, there was like 40,000 women that deployed. I'm like, what do you mean women didn't deploy back in Desert Storm? some of them were pilots. Some of them got shot down. So I don't understand where the I guess the forgetful memory came from.
Well, and I think if people keep that debate alive, there might be, especially for people in power, they might have the idea that if they can keep talking about it, then maybe somewhere along the line they get to decide what happens related to that. And yeah, the news is that they don't get to decide. If you want to enlist and you can pass the standards, then you get to be miserable like all the men.
Well, see, at least you see it like that. There's some that get too wrapped around on the other side of the house. They just like, what are you trying to say? Women can't do that? No, we're just trying to say that it's always been in. They've always been in combat. It's not an old, like you said, it's not an old argument. Right now, I guess there's a federal judge that says that they think that the selective service or the draft is considered discrimination. It's like women should join the draft too. Do you have any feelings about that?
I've been asked that before, and I'm just not sure about that. And the reason is not because I'm a fan of inequality or anything, but just, from the perspective of the reason why, if you've kind of noticed as women are reaching some of these milestones, like passing the Army Rangers course and other things like that,
right?
It took somebody to break through for everybody else to realize it was possible, for other women to be willing to try, and then they were able to pass too. So it was never the truth that all along they couldn't pass, and then all of a sudden women just, became strong enough. It's that, they just didn't have the belief in that. The door wasn't open for them to attempt it. And so women are now getting stronger and tougher, but they're also playing, different sports from the time they grow up. The sports that my two daughters are, have the opportunity to play now in school are a lot different than, my mother's generation of playing sports in school. And I do think that when you're an athlete, that muscle memory, that toughness, that all of that stays with you. So if you have a habit of, being in sports, whether it was, boys who are just kind of stereotypically doing the rough and tumble because that was a part of what was okay, as women are growing up, and as young girls and being, more competitive athletes, they're able to, reach some of those milestones that before were kind of off limits unless you were really getting into that. So, kind of how that ties back into selective service is if, I don't know that a lot of women are still maybe at that point. And I don't know if I'd be comfortable making that choice for a woman because the environment is still predominantly male and there are still some cultural norms and some issues of equality in the service that would make me nervous to say, you have to do that. I do think that women should be able to fight and serve wherever it is they're capable of fighting and serving at the same standard as a male soldier or whatever. But I don't know that I would want to force somebody to make a choice like that, just with the, the assault crisis and the discrimination and some of those things. That's asking for something different than what you're asking for a man at that age.
Okay, that's an interesting take. You don't see the fact that because of their involvement, like now that you've said they've reached those milestones of special operations or going to Ranger School and all that, that now that should be the last ceiling that should be broken as far as the equality is concerned?
Well, I think the ceiling might be broken, but it's certainly not the norm, and it's certainly not still, fully accepted, and we're not integrated at the same levels as the population. So, if there were 51% women and 49% male, I'd say go for it, but that's not the dynamic. And so setting up a dynamic where, the number of women in a unit is just a handful in different places. I mean, that's just it's an entirely different story right now until we figure out how to really integrate that in a way that's safe for everybody. Right. Now, I was just curious because I'm not a woman, so I'm not equipped to answer that question. So I was just wondering, sure.
How do you feel about it? Because I know there's women that there's women that are both sides. There are ones that are like, yeah, this is what we've been waiting for, and then there are some that are saying, I didn't ask you to speak for me. Right. And, I think we're kind of at an interesting part in American history where, the average 18-year-old male isn't really fit enough to fight. I mean, we kind of have a defense crisis. Are you reading my notes? I was like, you're right. They can't even change a tire.
Well, that's the reason why the military opened up so many slots to women in the first place was because in a volunteer army, there weren't enough men to do some of those jobs. And there aren't, there are a lot of men who are falling out. So
right. No, you're right. In the area that I work in, that's a lot of it's doctrine heavy. Females were exceeding the standard and topping the males in physical fitness tests and stuff. So no, I hear you. I was just curious because again, there are some individuals that say nope, they wanted to be equal. So there you go. This breaks the last glass ceiling. And these are women saying it, and then there's now women saying, nope, this is like you said. There's something that needs to be worked out. Again, I'm just curious because I would just like to see what the broad brush. I mean, I want, like you said, what are the statistics? What does it look like?
Right.
Because I know right now it's a hot debate, and when that judge said that the draft is not equal to men. Well, then what are we going to have? Do we have it or not? Are we going to do it or not? Are we going to have a draft or not a draft? Because now, if it's discriminatory to men, then what are you saying? That men don't sign up for the selective service now? So now it's just going to be not the draft. You know what I mean?
Right. No, absolutely. I think that would be a great test of the American conscience to really consider, what its position is, one, on the draft, but, certainly on women being a part of the selective service. And, that might ask us to figure out who's really going to step up and fill those roles.
Well, according to some of the ones that wanted to be in those roles, women, I think they were talking about, you know what I mean? they were the ones that were talking, because the selective service, when they talk about a real man, a man's got to do what a man's got to do. They get you pumped up, they get you, this is what you need to do to register, and this is why you register, and this is the benefits that you get, and these are important. They really come out, but I've not seen, I've not seen anything that's that like, in other words, I have not seen anything quantifiable from a man that said, because I signed up for the selective service, I got this. aside from you know what I mean. I never saw that. There's no there. You know, it's law. I mean that everybody has to. You know, all males have to do it 18 to 25. But I've never seen anybody like yeah, I'm selected service. Oh, cool. What did you get that grant or they get that college loan that they talk about you getting? Do you know what I mean? They talk about that. They actually will sit there and they go, the reasons to register is it's a civic duty and protect eligibility for future benefits. Well, what benefits are you talking about?
Right. No, I agree with that. I don't know that people see it that way at all.
No, people are saying, oh shit, it's the draft. That's what people are seeing. I'm not going to go, and then it goes back to the mentality, well, have the women do it. The reason why they wanted to be equal, there you go. You know what I mean? It just goes back and forth. So, I was just curious on your take on it, because I know I ask a lot of my friends and family about it, and they're like, who cares? Or someone will say, yeah, draft them. So I just curious your take on it. Well, but anyways, so I know there's a lot of talk anytime someone, because I know Navy SEALs do it. They do like make their books into movies. Are you gonna make a book into a movie, or are you gonna write has your book been given sold rights to? Anybody talking about doing a documentary or talking about anything like that for it that you could say?
The rights for that are with my publisher, and so I think if anybody ever approached him about that, he'd be really damn surprised, and so would I, because I don't know that anybody wants to make a movie about a bunch of Iowa truck drivers, but they're just missing out. They're small-minded if they don't see the bigger story than that. But, I don't know. I think that would be sort of interesting, and there's been, a lot of movies about the war on terror that have really come out that have really maybe given another way or another glimpse into that world that, people who don't really read are ever going to see any other way. So, I don't really foresee anything like that on the horizon. I have talked to a screenwriter about doing something like, for the stage or something like that. So there have always been a few ideas out there floating, but, right now, I'm not trying really hard to get something like that going. I'm a mom, and I got 2 little girls at home, and I have a full-time job, and I kind of write and do this other thing on the side, but, to fill it up with something else like that, I don't know. If an opportunity comes along, I feel like I always take it, but I don't always look for stuff that's not there. And I don't see that there for me anytime in the next year or so.
Okay, I'm just curious because I know that's like the standard Navy SEAL thing. They serve in the SEALs and then they hang out and then they are on Fox News. They write a book and then a movie's made out of it. I was just wondering if you were going down that route too. So,
oh my God, every Navy SEAL should have a movie made of their lifetime. I mean, like that's just. I mean, I think everybody kind of sees that in a different way, but yeah, I don't know about that. I've been just kind of trying to find a different way to, talk about my story, just like mostly in my own community, and then just doing stuff like this.
Yeah, I hear you. Hey, you got two people in the chats that are saying hi. You have Lori Hikiji. She's listening.
Oh, that's my sister-in-law. Hi, Lori.
Yeah, and she says she's proud of you. And then you have Patrick Vallant. Do you know him?
Yeah, Patrick from the Field of Dreams in Dyersville, Iowa.
Oh, wow. Okay, so you got anything you want to say out to the audience?
Hey, no, I just appreciate everybody listening and just being a part of the brother and the sisterhood. I think I listened to your broadcast last Monday night, and yeah, about the town hall meeting for Fort Polk, Louisiana. I felt like I needed to jump on when that came up because it's probably still the same now.
Oh man, I guess we've had guests come on, and they're like, oh yeah, we heard the shows, and we're not coming on. So, oops. So when you said, "Oh, I heard the show," okay, cool. All right. So, we totally appreciate you coming on, Miyoko. Totally. And you're more welcome to come back. If you got any updates or anything you want to talk about, any veteran issues, you're more than welcome to come back to WTF Nation Radio. Okay.
Hey, sounds cool.
All right. Well, hey, thanks a lot. This is Miyoko Hikiji with her book, All I Could Be, My Story of a Woman Warrior in Iraq. So we're going to go ahead and take a break right quick and shots.
Everything stated on WTF Nation Radio is to be considered the opinion of the person that stated it, and not an official representation of WTF Nation Radio or U.S. Army WTF Moments.
Price does not include tax, title, or license. Some assembly required. Each item sold separately. Batteries not included. Objects in mirror are closer than they appear. If conditions persist, contact a physician. Individual results may vary. Keep out of the reach of children. Avoid prolonged exposure to direct sunlight. Keep in a cool, dark place. And
please enjoy the show. Shots.
WTF Nation Radio. WTF Nation Radio.
Hi, Lieutenant. How are you doing? Aw, did you find your land nav point, Lieutenant? Good job, Lieutenant. You get a
Expert Action Badge.
Put on your uniform right?
Expert Action Badge.
Show up to work on time.
Expert Action Badge.
Qualify on your weapon.
Expert Action Badge. Badge of Action.
Find your guidon.
Expert Action Badge.
That's right. Just doing your noble warrior task and drills, you get a
Expert Action Badge.
Each item sold separately. Batteries not included. Objects in mirror are closer than they appear. If conditions persist, contact a physician. Individual results may vary. Keep out of the reach of children. Avoid prolonged exposure to direct sunlight. Keep in a cool, dark place. And
please enjoy the show. Shots.
Shit in a bag, Pogue. Badge of Action. The voice of U.S. Army. WTF Moments. This is WTF Nation Radio. Action Badge.
Looking up and fading out, serious shapes I found blow me away. Van Allen right around, pushing through, skin is brown, nature has us trapped in fear, so I get lost in sound. I wonder if you'll ever know why I am the way I am. I've been thinking a lot about time and space surrounding. Is there anyone who is thinking like me? I've been thinking a lot about life and it's never ending. Is there anyone who is thinking like me? Constellation theme, mapping stars they're meant to be. Geminis are free of suicidal kings. This misty maze of me, so obvious yet never seen. Feeling though the fog will lift to find me lost at sea. I've been thinking a lot about time and space surrounding. Is there anyone who is thinking like me? I've been thinking a lot about life and it's never ending. Is there anyone who is thinking like me? Myself and I am so lost, it's beautiful, far away from life. But I want your visceral feeling to be mine. Oh, I just don't get it. When will your heart beat with my mind? I've been thinking a lot. I've been thinking a lot about time and space surrounding. Is there anyone who is thinking like me? I've been thinking a lot about life and it's never ending. Is there anyone who is thinking like me?
What is this Facebook Live? I've never heard of this shit.
Everything stated on WTF Nation Radio is to be considered the opinion of the person that stated it, and not an official representation of WTF Nation Radio or U.S. Army.
Unreal. Man, at the end of the
There's
week,
only
it's going to
so
be
many
done.
Mondays in a month.
Oh, I know, man. I know. God. Well, it was a very good guest. Thank you, Miyoko, for coming on. Yeah, it was kind of funny. Me and you were talking about the draft earlier and all that, and I was just figuring I'd just take the opportunity to take the opportunity questions there.
No, it's great to pick her brain. She had some really interesting thoughts on this subject. And I mean, it's not a cut and the weird thing about the draft it's not a cut and dry issue. Society today is just not prepared. Like there's some people there'd be some folks going through basic training that have a really hard life lesson to go through, and then also the likelihood of another draft is it's not on the spectrum. It's on the far side of it because it's just we had one for World War II, we had one for Vietnam, and partially of that was because we had such a downward hit of people after the Korean War, and where numbers were pretty low. I mean, it's just there's not a lot. People we talk about the draft. People freak out automatically, thinking that tomorrow every millennial is being drafted into the Army. It's just not going to work. It's not working like that.
But just that rumor of it flying out is fucking hilarious to see their reactions, though. I'm just saying.
Yeah, people who don't care all of a sudden care super amount because they might actually have to join the military if World War III hit. That would be the extent. And even then, the way we fight these days, I don't know. It's just when we talk about, I love that where and we've said it several times in the show, meet the standard. I don't care what you got between your legs. I don't care what color you are, what religion you practice or don't practice. Meet the standards. If you meet, you're going to shoot straight, and kick ass, and especially protect me since I'm public affairs and I got a damn camera. Well, we're good. Like
yeah,
I don't give a shit.
I have seen fucking stories, I mean, that's how, isn't that what happened with Keith Elware? Isn't that what happened to him? Didn't he get hurt or something like that? Was he in some shit? And, he was in some shit.
Keith Elware was an amazing public affairs practitioner during the Vietnam War. Actually met a guy when I was doing my ACAP in Korea who actually had met him a couple of times and knew who he was. Because I mentioned what my MOS was. He's like, "Oh, you knew you made Keith Elware." I was like, "The same one."
Right.
How many? But I mean, we, as long as you meet the standard.
Right. I mean, we've always been like that, though.
I know with the transgender issue, the big thing is not that it's the. I hear a lot of it is not it's the folks that want to go through the ultimate change that's going to keep you on the non-deployable list for a long ass time, and that's been the sticking point in the military. I think again, standard. If you can meet the standard, I don't care. Do your job. But when it comes to the draft, the likelihood is hopefully not in our lifetime. It probably won't be in our lifetime. And if it is, then we'll deal with it. But if women are, I kind of think I think when we get farther down the road of more women are in combat roles, and yes, and I see it all the time on Twitter. I see it I see it a lot on Facebook where they're like, "There's no women there's no women in the infantry." I'm like, yes, but there's women 88 mics who are getting hit in convoys and having to jump out and defend their vehicle and defend their lives. And there's print journalists and broadcasters that have had to that aren't combat roles that are females, because public affairs is actually a good large portion of public affairs is female that go outside the wire to cover these stories and have to defend themselves and to take part and all these other roles. Yes, if you're an S1 personnel, you're probably not going to have to worry about too much. But if you're anything that, like, especially this 88 mics, like, people don't understand those truck drivers, get blown to hell all the time.
Oh yeah.
And are caught and stuff. And they may not be infantry or combat engineers or something like that, but they are in the fight as much as a lot of times as much as the infantry, because they're always the MPs and stuff. We have lots of female MPs. And,
well, they're bullet magnets in Iraq because they were carrying our supplies and stuff, and there were IED magnets and bullet magnets every attack. I mean, it was not uncommon for Route Irish or Route Tampa. You'd see guys getting freaking messed up going into Sadr City or the Green Zone in Baghdad.
So you have people that are freaking out saying that just because there were at the time were not women in combat roles. I wish you could see my bunny. See, I'm ready for us to go video so people can see the bunny ears, because I could do good bunny ears. But while they're not in combat roles, a lot of times they are in combat in some way or another.
Right.
It doesn't, bullets don't discriminate. They don't go, oh well, you're not a combat West. Let me swerve right at that combat engineer over there, that Cav scout. Well, they're not combat rolling either way. But still,
damn, dude. Hang on, let me grab some rant music, because I sense you spinning up.
No, there's no rant here. It's just it boggles my mind that there's a certain level of ignorance in the military. Like you get those guys that just like, well, I was infantry, I didn't see any females around. If you didn't, then you're retarded. Yes, you might not have on some of the patrols you were on, but they were out there. They've been out there increasing numbers since the beginning of the global war on terrorism in Iraq and Afghanistan, and those numbers have only steadily increased since then, making them as part of these fights as the men are. And that's, if you had your head in the sand and you didn't see it, that's not our fault you're ignorant. That's why you're ignorant. So now that women can, again, who meet the standard, I don't believe in lowering the standard or anything. Right. I kind of like the new PT test where there's one standard, but if you meet the standard as a comm engineer, as artillery man or woman, or infantry personnel or whatever, meet the standard, go and kill the enemy. That's all I care about.
Right.
Because if you're ready to put lead down range and take somebody out, I'm 100% with you. Go forth and conquer. I will bring a skull can and a monster any day you like.
A skull can.
You'd be surprised how many times.
I was about to say,
how many times I'd be like, "Hey, I'm going to come out. I'm coming out to your unit to do a story. All right, cool. Can you bring a log of whatever and a bunch of monsters? All right."
Did you just assume that most females in the military drink monsters and dip?
No, I assume most infantry people do.
Oh, well, now women can do it. So now,
hey, you're one of the boys. I expect a skull can ring in your back pocket.
Exactly, exactly. Touche. Women over breaking balls. Relax. I don't want to hear.
I expect you to have bad breath and weird-looking teeth.
I want to see some specks in your teeth.
I expect your blood to not be red, but radioactive monster green.
Oh man.
I expect you to have blood like the Predator after being in the infantry for a couple of years.
Get on my level with a coffee, and then we'll talk.
Hey, I'll tell you what, though. Not a war story, but, when I was downrange, some of the most accommodating people when I went and did stories were infantry folks. MPs. Some of the MPs and some of the combat engineers that I've had to deal with, a lot of them were National Guard.
They want to tell their story, dude, because they want to be. They grunts, blue corps,
Well, usually it's not the soldiers. It is it's the command that gives me the most problems. Like I'm coming out there to come and like squeal on them or something. Like that's what my job is. But like every time I've got to hang out with 2 infantry units when I was in Afghanistan. And both of them were like, "Oh yeah, we got a cot ready for you. We got power so you can do your story. We got like hook me up." Other units, like I come out for a comm engineer unit where I ran into a little bit of my own trouble, and they're all like, "Oh, we'll find you a place when you get here." And then I get on the ground like, "Oh well, yeah, we're gonna find you a spot. You might have to sleep in the office." It's like, "Well, shit, appreciate it."
Yeah, thanks for accommodating, man. I'm gonna make sure I write a good story about you.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not expecting a hotel. I'm public affairs, but I'm not public affairs. But so you just, the infantry guys that, they're one of many faces, and they're a lot of times they're super accommodating. So, I've always had a good time with them. But, the folks with the folks with the draft just kind of, it's good. In the article itself, the judge says, I can't force the federal government to change the draft. And this might not even be up for consideration higher up for maybe 4 or 5 years. What I'm saying is now that we are allowing females into combat units and combat positions, that the draft is in my eyes unconstitutional, and I can dig that. From a constitutional standpoint, if we're allowing everyone to rock and roll, if women want to be, you have women that are Navy SEALs, you have women that are Rangers and Delta and Green Berets and shit. Which, fuck yeah, go for it. That we doesn't mean every guy is going to go to when you're drafted. Not every guy goes to a combat unit, anyways. A very small portion of the military is our combat roles. And people it's just, people that aren't in the military that I see on Twitter that try to be in the military or are
go on
alpha, that are quote unquote alphas, just, they have no idea how the Army really is set up.
Right.
You even when I was in Cav and you had 2.5 and 182 and 212 and whatnot, the infantry guys and even the tankers or whatnot only made up a small portion of the company. The rest were supply and your clerks and your ammo guys and all these other, and your commo guys and all these other elements that make up the unit. So people were like, oh, well, the people that are like, we need to abolish the draft. No, don't be stupid. Everyone has a draft because you never know. Drafts have gone back for centuries.
Right, but I will say this. Cos brings up a good point, too, in the chat. When you see that first Special Forces or Special Operations or 11 Bravo woman get killed, and it's somebody's daughter screaming for... Because, everything now, we have helmet cams, we have recorders, and we have the news embedded with us. I guarantee it. That right there would there would be no question. The draft would just end.
Now, my only problem with that is you're assuming that a woman is going to die different from a guy.
No. Well, I mean, explosion is an explosion. I'm just saying. I'm just saying you're seeing it. It's optics, dude. You're going to see. Think about it. You got your daughter. I mean, I don't want my daughter to fucking. I love my daughters. I love my kids. But there is that you see your daughter, or you see, come on. There is a as a man, you don't want to see your daughter. You don't want to see your little girl get hit or get hit by an ID or ISIS using a propaganda video beheading her or something like that on fucking. You know what I mean? I guarantee it. That changes shit. That'll change optics real fucking quick. Which is why I'm surprised. I'm not surprised, but I'm just glad that no American woman, no Allied woman has been captured by the enemy yet I guarantee it. It just takes one to get beheaded on an ISIS beheading floor, and that's it.
That was a big thing that when people were talking about going, against females being in combat roles, was that the optics of that. My thing is, when we're in our society, we're trying to do our best to make sure if there's an equal playing field for everything. Every woman and man should be allowed to do any job they see fit.
Right.
Now, if that's what's going to happen, and people are going to get super emotional and say, "Oh, women should be in combat roles anymore," then pretty much what is that? Your whole movement been the first shed of blood. This isn't the Girl Scouts or the Scouts or whatever.
Right.
This
the Girl Scouts or the Scouts. Did you mean Calf Scouts? Is that what you're trying to say? What were you trying to get at? What was that right there? You're talking about no assuming.
When you get down to brass taxes, this job is about using a force to coerce another force or killing the shit out of them to have a result. Our job is to take things down, to kill people. That's like the nitty gritty. You know way better than I do. And this, we don't just let everyone. I mean, hell, we have enough trouble getting regular good candidates that are male, let alone females. And yes, if the one optic is going to change all the changes we've been making over the last decade when it comes to females in our modern military. And yes, is it going to be hard to watch? It is, but I guarantee it's going to be just as hard as every time you've had to see, when Al Qaeda beheaded that guy on. I remember saw it when I was a kid. Beheaded that guy with like a dull ass machete.
Oh,
and he was yelling.
Nick Berg, when he beheaded Nick Berg. Yeah.
I don't. To me, I believe in equality, and I think that's a woman's not. It's not going to be any different. It's just going to hurt the same way, and I'm going to want to rethink my MOS choices because I'm not going to want to stand for that. Granted, on public affairs, I'm probably going to never stay that way because I love my awesome job with cameras, and I do better that way. But still,
well, Jake Ford brings up a good point too. Is that if you want to disrespect women in the service, look at the IDF. The Israeli Defense Force, they kick ass.
Those crazy bitches are always ready to go, and they get,
whoa, dude!
Man.
You just talked about assuming crazy bitches. Damn, dude!
I don't.
We can be crazy. No.
Damn, Flesh! Crazy bitches. They're in the military.
Have you seen them in some of these videos? And the Krav Maga and the training they do. I would not fuck with any of them.
That's what I'm saying. They'll fuck you up.
These chicks
the
are.
Krav Maga shit's fucking.
They
is the
start
real
out.
shit.
They start out hardcore, because it is a mandatory. Everyone will serve, and they come out badass. Why do you think the Wonder Woman is from Israel? It was part of the IDF and shit.
So you're saying that DC Comics specifically picked Gal Gadot because she was an she is a Krav Maga specialist too, big time.
Regardless of how, because I don't know who we have in the crowd, regardless how you feel about Israel and stuff like what Palestine, but I tell you what, the Israel folks over there have a necessity, have to have a force ready to go, and they treat men and women the same. You're going to go here, you're going to do a job, you're going to put a rifle in your hand, and you're going to kick ass. The Israeli folks, especially the females, are badass, and I would not want to fight any one of them. And honestly, that's what the U.S. should strive for, is bringing all together, and just like that.
Right, kicking ass. So we've lost the kicking ass. We've lost the kicking ass aspect.
We got too like technical and high tech and everything. We need to get back to just kicking ass. You see that? Honestly,
if we're going back to pinks and greens, we need to kick ass like the motherfuckers were doing in World War II in pinks and greens. Those guys were bombing the shit out of the Germans and wearing pinks and greens while they were doing it. They were kicking ass. Band of Brothers, they were kicking ass. When all those POW camps and all those concentration camps were liberated, our sergeants got those concentration camp guards, pulled them to the side, and then just mowed them the fuck down on the side right there. Do you see them getting hauled up? You could think about it right now. If World War II, if MPs or soldiers, everybody who participated in the liberation of the concentration camps were being held to this standard today, what do you think would happen? Would you sit there and say, no, those camp guards, they were afforded the rights under the Geneva Convention? No. You had guys like Charlasky and bring that guy over here. We're gonna take care of him. And then they put him up against the fucking wall and they mowed him the fuck down with Tommy guns or M1s, whatever you want, whatever guns you have. They fucked him. If you're gonna, like you said, kicking ass. I mean, there were some stupid situations in military strategy when we were in Europe, like the Bloody Bucket, losing 15 to 20,000 soldiers in one engagement over 3 days. Yeah, that's kind of fucked up. But I mean,
Monte Carlo.
Yeah, or some of the engagements in Italy as well. But holy shit, we kicked ass. Like there was
you know what the difference is though? Israel, because of what is going on between Israel and Palestine, have to be on alert all the time. They are getting rockets thrown at all time. Part of it is we have a very awesome, but very cushy, no matter where you at, even the worst spot in America is probably better than being in Israel if you're not in Tel Aviv on vacation or something, because you have to worry about people throwing bombs, people digging tunnels underneath the wall to come and then shoot you, because it isn't like maybe how we have in the media where like, oh, the Mexicans are coming, they're going to shoot everybody. They actually in Israel and Palestine are in a constant state of of battle. There's always something going on. We have a nice, soft, cushy life, and we have these little tours where we're not engaged. It's not like the beginning of Afghanistan, Iraq, where we were out there kicking ass. Now there's a little bit of contact. We call in the fast movers. They bomb the shit out of the place. We move on. And it's, and if you look even World War I, World War II, we were the last into the fight, and it took us a hot second to get us, because our country started out in blood, in battle. We were hardcore, and then after 1812, and then after the Civil War, everything started getting a little nicer place, and we stopped caring. We stopped having the fear of the Santa Ana coming up from Mexico and shit like that. We never had to worry about Canada because it's fucking Canada. The worst thing we have to worry about Canada is geese. We don't have to worry about the Brits coming over to invade like in 1812 and shit. Like there's so much we don't have to deal with now that other countries that treat their militaries differently. If you really want to, I'm not saying we need to throw our whole way of military life and thinking, because we've been pretty damn effective, and I'm very proud of our military. But we might need to start thinking, maybe adjusting our practices to be a little more functional, as if we are going to go kick ass right now.
Yeah, because we're talking about we need to be. You notice the new officer buzzword is lethality. Oh, we need to get. It's all about lethality and lethality, and
I was hearing lethality back in 2014. Or my one colonel, find the tanks. Your mission is find the tanks and kill them.
Lethality. Yeah, we were gonna go here and beat these guys up. Lethality. We're gonna do a new PT test, the Army Combat Fitness Test, because we need to be more lethal. Just make sure you do your SSDs. You know what I mean? It's almost like you want us to be fucking tough. You want to unleash the hounds of hell.
But I think the new PT test is lethality. While it's not going to be thrown out as it's not like what I would see as how we should adjust or how we do things in the military. But I do think that PT test is better training us to be ready to fight tonight and all that crap. Because I'm telling you what, I never had to run 2 miles ever in a combat zone. Granted, 8 months in Afghanistan, not a lot of running right there because it's too many hills. I did that in Korea. Fuck that shit. I never had to worry about how many push-ups I could do or sit-ups and do. I do find that the ACFT, just from what I've seen, and I've actually, I've been since I've been on the mend from my injuries, I've actually been practicing doing the ACFT, and I do see maybe the ball throw is a little weird. I guess you got to push somebody over a wall, so I can kind of understand it. But then just like, how many people can you help get over a wall? That the standard, but whatever. But outside of that, I see the ACFT to me is, if we're talking about lethality, is getting us closer. Is it a big step? No, it's just a PT test. It's just to make sure that fat motherfuckers are in shape or they're getting kicked out, or people that can't hack it. That can't run 2 miles in I think the longest is like 21 minutes and 38 seconds. If you're the bottom tier, like if you're public affairs in a public affairs unit, it's like 21 minutes and 38 seconds. Holy shit, I could walk that for 2 miles, not a problem. But the other stuff, there's the deadlifts. Having to pick up heavy things. You got the artillery guys. They're moving howitzers. They're not light and shit. Team effort. You got to pick things up. I do see the CFT as a step, not a big step, but a step towards actually having a force that is, again, I'll use the monitor, fight tonight and shit.
Sorry.
But it's getting us closer. Not a huge step, but closer. I think that
but we need to be, like I said, that whole lethality, that whole ACFT, we have to get out of the mindset. Look, everyone's talking about it, and everyone's complaining about this is going to hurt your back, and this is, I'm telling you what, a bunch of these individuals that are, I see you popping the bottle. I heard you.
Elijah Craig small batch, Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey, 94 proof.
Yeah. Hey, what's up, Vina? Oh, hey, wow, man, you're trying to get me to Tusentak. Okay, yeah, Tusentak. Vielen Dank. Wow, you're like tricking me. Break my. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. But I no way, dude. You're supposed to be lethal. You're supposed to be in shape. You're not supposed to be sitting around fobbing. You know what I mean? You're not supposed to be doing that. People are complaining. Well, look, are the same guys that say, I want to go work out in the gym, but have chicken legs. These are the same guys that you see that are on profile, but then you see them doing a damn Tough Mudder. You know what I mean? Those are the ones that piss me off when they say, oh, this PT test is going to mess up my back. I thought you were infantry. I thought you were supposed to carry this shit. I thought you were supposed to carry a 45-pound ruck with your 50-pound kit of plates with ammunition that you like to brag about in all your fucking Facebook posts, right? I got bronze stars and I got purple hearts and all this stuff, and I'm a combat vet. But don't make me do a PT test that's supposed to make me badass that I'm supposed to be. You know what I mean? Shut up.
I have this public affairs guy who has a running profile and a sit-up profile. And he was coming up to me because he's like, he switched out to be public affairs, and he hasn't had a chance to deploy. And he's like, oh, I want to go out. He's always asking me questions and stuff because I got some good videos. I'm well traveled as public affairs, throughout, the AO of the military. And he's like, oh, I want to go out. I'm like, dude, you couldn't even you had to carry a backpack with 5 pounds when we did our little rucksack because you have a profile for your back. I said, do you know how many times I've had to just carry not only my combat load but then my camera equipment with me? He said, it doesn't get light going up those hills, and no one's going to carry them for you. Are you really with your back, and you still want to deploy? Get out of here!
Right.
I'm sorry.
That's what I'm saying. But they want to talk. A lot of these guys that are talking crap about the ACFT are the same ones that you see driving around talking all this shit with their ERB on their fucking trucks, and they're saying you guys are pogues because you're pogues and all that. You're bitching about a PT test, man. You were bitching about a PT test. I would rather do the ACFT. I've done it. Than the old. I can't even think about doing the old Army PT test anymore. I can't.
And a lot of the stuff that the people are bringing up, they're like, oh, people hurt their back with the deadlifts. Well, that's why they didn't do a traditional deadlift and they did the trap bar deadlift because I won't lie, I hate the original the deadlift because I always skinned my shins when I used to do it. And so I've been working really hard to just do the trap, train how you're going to fight. So I train how I'm going to get tested. Even when I was even in my worst form, if I didn't keep my head up or something like that, the trap bar makes it so your hands are in a neutral position. It's not hurting your shoulders or moving everything's an awkward position that the traditional deadlift does. And you literally just have to kind of keep your head up, your shoulders kind of back, and just lift with your legs. And it's so much easier and it's such a low learning curve than the traditional deadlift with the grip. And you got to lift, do everything specific or whatnot. So when people say that kind of stuff, I'm like, either one, you've never done a trap deadlift, which it's super easy. It took I've only done it once in the military before I started hitting the gym recently and doing it. And I was able to pick it back up haha. And now I'm rocking. I'm getting 100 points on that bad boy.
Right.
I'll tell you what.
But
outside that, it's.
But I don't get the guys. Yeah, but I don't get the guys that will sit there and I watch the chats. I watch the inbox. I mean, just hell, you don't even have to look at the main page. Just like on social media, and you see guys that are puffing their fucking chests out. And they're going, oh, well, I'm a badass, and I'm this, and all that. But as soon as you throw it's like as soon as you say ACFT, it's like a fucking vampire holding the cross up. You're like, get away!
They're just mad because when this SMA said this PT test is not hard to pass, but it's hard to max. And these are the guys that are used to doing, I can do push-ups and sit-ups, and I can run and get 300 points. When you actually have to do more than just do push-ups and sit-ups and run, and there's actually more compound movements and kinetic movements and shit. Now and a lot of these folks that are bitching are the ones who have yet to do it. There's been a good bit of soldiers who have already gone through practice runs between the reserve, the National Guard, and a lot of active duty units because they always kick everything off. But there's been reserve units that have been accomplishing the ACFT and with better scores than you would probably think for a first round of a new PT test. Because remember, there's no combat roles in the reserve. It's all support. So these support guys are able to pass the ACFT you're bitching that people are going to get hurt because you haven't taken this test. Or my biggest things on the ACFT, and hopefully soon we're going to have some answers on that, are, that some people who have taken it have asked, if you have a profile specifically, are they going to do alternates, or are you just going to go straight to just, hey, you're just not going to do it?
See, that's
but
what I'm telling you, Flash, is that here's the thing. God darn it, I didn't want to do Sergeant's time. but
let me step in.
But Frago 2 came out to the entire Army. Frago 2 came out that said that there were going to be no changes to anything else. What the end state was going to be, obviously, was a feeling that was not going to change. And they were talking about diagnostics. The ACFTs were going to be 6 months apart. So they were already there. It's not going to be like instantly everyone's going to get flagged immediately. Right now the ACFT is only going to be used for grading, but not when it comes to doing NCO PDSs. So if you're going to go to an NCO PDS at this time, you will not do the ACFT yet. Too
bad.
Well, I'm just saying the whole thing. But everyone's getting all wrapped around the axle about what they're supposed to be doing. Soldiers within their limit, all soldiers within the limits of their permanent or temporary profiles or judgment of the commander will participate in the ACFT during Phase 2 for data collection purposes. So
if you have a back problem, you're probably not going to be doing the deadlift.
Right. So everyone's making it sound like, what the fucking Army's trying, what the fuck is a stupid thing, blah, 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 blah. And you're right. A lot of these individuals that can pass this ACFT with no problem are the fucking admin kids, are the fucking logisticians, are the fucking, are the aviation kids, are the MI kids. Why? Is because this is it needs to be a different culture. If the infantry is going to have that culture of being the infantry, I am the infantry, the queen of battle, king of battle, whatever you want to battle, battle rattle, whatever you want to say, then you have to absorb that culture. You should be welcoming this thing like a Tough Mudder, because I'm telling you all the time, these are the same guys that bitch about doing this ACFT are the same ones that are in Tough Mudders. They're doing P90X things. They're doing what's that freaking
all that CrossFit
competition crap. And they're the ones in the gym, like I was telling Spanky before. They're the ones that are shaking in a platoon sergeant meeting when I'm a first sergeant because they took some pre-workout before PT. What's wrong with you?
I gotta get to the gym. Go right now.
Yeah, I get tired.
See, if I was one of those guys that are like, that they know they can just max out, that they're intimidated by a couple more events or whatnot, that should give you more of an incentive to try to, be the first person to max out everything. Is it going to be extremely difficult? Yes, because here's the thing. I've known plenty of guys, and I think we've talked about this before. I've known plenty of guys that, he had skinny arms, but he could just like bounce and just knock them out. He could just, he kind of bounces and knocks them out. He does those sit-ups, and he's a quick little jackrabbit. But I guarantee you do those release push-ups, he's not going to do as well because he can't rely on momentum like a lot of people do. He has to rely on the actual upper body strength. He can't just be super skinny and quick. I know lots of guys that can, that can't do can't run the run really fast. That's just not their thing. But I tell you what, they're about near pick up a tank if you ask them to. I'm in that category, except not picking up a tank.
No, but I'll agree with you, Flash, right there. I'm sorry, I'm going to jump in your show real quick. But no, a lot of that's muscle memory.
Well, you're on the show with us.
No, a lot of that's muscle memory. And that's the reason why the only major change that I've seen, like in the Army's APFT, was they made it harder for a certain age group, like around like the 30 around like 31 32-year-olds to max it, because they said that was too easy for them to max it. And I can agree with that, because I was 9 weeks postpartum and could bounce back and max my APFT. It was all muscle memory. It wasn't like I could max my APFT and could literally bounce back that fast. It wasn't like, I was in like the greatest shape ever, just had a baby, but could literally bounce back that fast. So something's wrong with how our APFT was, how they measure our physical fitness. So obviously something had to change, because trust me, I was not in as great a shape 9-10 weeks postpartum as I was, before I got pregnant. But yes, I had been doing it that long that, oh, you want me to do this? All you're measuring is 2 minutes of push-ups, 2 minutes of sit-ups, and running 2 miles.
And most of the folks can knock it out within the first minute. They're going to do as much as they're going to. I'm one of those. Like
exactly. I can suck it up and do it.
With the original PT test, I know I can almost tell you what my numbers is going to be on everything within maybe like a push-up or two or a sit-up or two, plus or minus maybe 30 seconds on the run, because you get used to. I know where I'm at. I know that within the first minute, I'm going to knock out like 45 push-ups and I can be just good and done and be at the minimum and call it a day. Or I know I can take that other 30 seconds that I probably actually give and do another 10 or 15, and then I'll probably call it. No one, only a couple people that like will actually go the full 2 minutes, the full 2 minutes, because what you're going to be at. This one is actually going to test you.
Well, yeah, exactly.
More so.
Now, to answer the question with Jake, I'm old, but I'm not a fat dude.
I'm fat dude.
What about?
Well, I'm not fat. I'm more beefy.
Beefy. I will say
Dude,
this: that
hard. I look awesome.
All I have to do with the APFT is look at a set of PT uniforms, show up to formation, smoke a cigarette, and make sure I have my PT belt on, and I will already have passed the minimums. That's how many push-ups and sit-ups in a run. I literally, at my age group, I can literally, like I said, literally hardly do any push-ups, literally hardly do any sit-ups, and literally walk my run, and pass it, no problem. And the thing is that, and that's why the ACFT, the ACFT should be a measure of fitness. Come on. If I, as your first sergeant, or I, as your sergeant major, and I'm in a specialized unit, or I'm in an infantry unit, and you don't see me going out there, don't you think you'd try harder if you saw some old fucker like me out there getting it? Do you know what I mean?
No, absolutely. And that's just it. It's like, it needs to be a measure of fitness, like, because even me, like, the last 5 years being on a permanent profile, because of my back, it started to get like, it would be easier for me to like actually get switched back to running and jogging.
But I tell you what,
because I could walk that run
when you do the knee ups. But when you do the exercises, when you do those 6 freaking exercises, and by the time you get to the run, man, you're
gonna need that extra time.
If you're not used to those types of exercise, see, that's the thing. I was sort of kind of already used to those type of exercises, because I just don't do push-ups, sit-ups until my run.
You're a CrossFitter. It's okay.
Shut up! I am not. I am not a CrossFitter.
He does the mud runs and the Spartan races.
I do not. Gosh, man.
He's got pictures on Instagram.
No, would you stop it? Sexy as fucking 50-year-old ever. Anyways, my whole point being is that it's
80-year-old.
It's that you need this. Everyone needs this. The culture has to freaking change in this stuff, because the days of us being all, because I'm telling you, man, the bad guys, the way they're starting to become, we need to be in shape. We definitely need to be in shape. This push-up, sit-ups, a 2-mile run, especially hearing it from the armor, the artillery, the infantry, the cav guys. The majority of the crying is coming from them. The majority of the crying. Everyone else, oh, okay, cool. This looks like it's going to be fun. Oh, okay, cool.
Because they were able to separate themselves as the alphas of the army by able to do pushes and sit-ups. But here's the best thing that I like about the ACFT. Is the thought behind it of what these exercises are actually testing. I don't care if you max out your push-ups and sit-ups. I'm a 220-pound man. I'm a big guy. I've always been a big guy. Even after basic training, they still had to tape me. I've always been a big guy. Luckily, I've been putting on a little more muscle than fat. But that's just recently.
You want to talk about age then, huh? I'm going to talk about. I'm just fucking with you.
I put a little more muscle than fat recently, but still, I'm a 220-pound man. What push-ups? How's your push-up and sit-up score help you pick my ass up if I'm wounded?
I can pick you up.
Like if you.
But I can pick you up. I will be able to. I will be able to pick you up. Flash, I will be. Trust me, I will be able to pick you up.
But see, with even with the deadlift, it at least prepares you to pick up a litter with a heavy ass person on there. You ever do when you had to do like CLS training where they had you pair up with like the guy who was like the smallest guy was the biggest guy and have them pull him around in a sled or something like that. These tests are, granted, I don't know how many folks that are going to be running around with ammo cans. God for hopefully never. Hopefully we go into a long ass time of peace, and being a soldier is just kind of like being like a Roman guard, like when the shit wasn't happening much. Like that'd be cool. I'd be all for peace, but it's at least testing things you might actually have to do. Picking yourself up, from being on the ground and getting up and shit like that. Having to actually help somebody get over a wall and stuff like that. Actually picking up a fat motherfucker. Like I think the max is like 340 pounds, and with all that gear and body armor and stuff like that, a 180-pound skinny fucker is going to be really heavy. So I mean, these are all tests that are, and I find it better testing than just doing push-ups and sit-ups, because I don't know what the push-up would help me is like if you're testing on a combat situation, what my sit-ups are going to do, because I'm not doing a sit-up if I'm wearing my IOTV, because it's impossible. I'll roll and maybe there's the push-up, but then that's a release push-up. I find the release push-up, while it's I like it better than when they first said, "Oh, we're going to do the T push-ups." I'm like, why am I going to waste my time doing my arms? I like the release push-up better, where it's just like I just have to have my hands off. But see.
Right, but everyone's always doing that worst case scenario. Everyone's doing the buddy drag and all that. Even a 220-pound guy won't be able to pick up a 220-pound guy. Is what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So I'm pretty freaking sure. I mean, that's why that drag that you do simulates. I'm dragging you. I'm not picking your ass up. I'm not. I mean, Jesus fucking Christ. Everyone's got their own. You have to drag. You know what? I'm gonna post a guy. I'm gonna do the damn ACFT exercises video. After this, just to kind of get the juices flowing, and because I'm
waiting. We have a National Guard unit that's actually close by where I'm at right now, and I've been talking with their first sergeant, and they're gonna let me know when they actually start practicing the ACFT, because I actually want to. I've been doing it in the the deadlifts. I don't really have a lot of room to throw I think it's a 10-pound medicine ball. I know I can toss that sucker pretty far, but I haven't had a chance to practice that. The release push-ups you can do, the knees to elbows, the leg tuck, I think it's called. I mean, that's one of those ones you need to practice, because tell you what, those fuckers that can do a shit ton of those sit-ups are going to have trouble with the leg tuck, because that's the totally different muscle groups that you're working. And then they're like, oh, because I told my dad, who he's old school Army, retired in 2003, I think, after 21 years as comm engineer. So he's pretty tough and crusty. And I was telling him about the new PT test, and I told him, the minimum for like the lowest, the non-combat, like the super soft of the Army is like 21 minutes and like 38 seconds. He goes, holy crap. I said, yeah. And these are the other exercises. And when I kind of broke it down, he was like, okay, I kind of see it. I mean, if he can see it, who messes with me anytime I tell him anything about the Army, because I'm public affairs, he likes to fuck with me, can recognize that's going to be a good bit of workouts that he doesn't mind the getting more latitude with the run. But I think that a lot of this stuff is going to better prepare the lethality of the U.S. military. It's going to better prepare us to be more combat ready. Hopefully you'll have less people that are failing it. And then I think you have a better idea what your people are doing, better than the push-ups and sit-ups in a fucking 2-mile run.
I won't do the ACT video. I'll probably wait for Sergeant's time on that one, because that's going to be a heated debate. Anyways, for Sergeant-y, we want to knock out some house cleaning, man. We gotta clean up.
We do have to clean. We have. Hold on, it just popped away as I pick it up, because Spanky did the cool cut sheet. Awesome, because this Thursday, February 28th, Brigadier General Patrick Donohoe.
Donahoe.
Is it Donahoe?
Donahoe.
I have it Donohoe on the cut sheet.
I keep saying it's Donahoe. It's Donahoe.
It's okay. It's Donohoe on the top part, but actually in the meat of it.
Yeah. It's
Brigadier General Donohoe, a native of New Jersey, received his commission May 1989 through the Army Reserve Officers Training Corps program. Go Army Reserve at Villanova University. He holds a bachelor's of arts in history, a master's of advanced military studies, and a master's of national security and strategic studies. His military education includes all the stuff that you'd find, including United States Naval Command and General Staff College and Senior Service College Fellowship at Harvard University. So he's kind of a bright guy. Well, he's coming on the show because he's the current Deputy Commanding General of Operations for 8th Army in Korea. And he's going to be joining Sergeant Time with ICE to tell us about the upcoming 75th 8th Army anniversary. It's going to be pretty awesome. It's our first flag officer. It's our first, general. Hopefully one of many, but 8th Army is going to lead the way on this one.
That's going to be
I'm
awesome.
very excited.
I'm excited.
I'm very excited about it.
It's going to be fun.
The best part is the military community, especially on Mil Twitter, is super. Mil Twitter is just a lot of the military people that are on Twitter is super excited about this. And this is, I've already felt it started opening some other doors. I've already been in talks with other commanders about coming on the show because of General Donahoe leading the way. So we appreciate 8th Army, and we appreciate him for coming on. So we're super excited. We only got to wait a couple of days for that. I'm so fanboying out. That's gonna be pretty cool.
I know, man.
And then we have
time. We got to get the flag ready. Spanking, did you get a haircut? Or you're doing your nails? You already
I'm gonna get my nail polish taken off and put it in a pretty bun. I'm not cutting my hair.
I might have to shave my head right on Thursday morning just so I'm prepared. I don't want to get caught out of reg. Okay, so on Monday, March 4th, Mark Baker and Charlie Mike from Charlie Mike.
God, Mark Baker,
Charlie
man,
Mike
I can't
Comics
wait.
Is coming on the show. Mark Baker is a retired U.S. Army Sergeant, Master Sergeant. His Private Murphy cartoons ran in the Army Times for 8 years. Started.
Yep.
I'm fangirling. Sorry.
Yeah, I know Mark Baker, man. Private Murphy
cartoons, which he posts on Facebook, and now his new endeavor called Charlie Mike Comics. I don't know.
It's what?
End of the show, my connection is being wonky. Anyways, after a 10-year hiatus, Mark is back doing Murphy cartoons, which he posts on Facebook, and now his new endeavor called Charlie Mike Comics. His new endeavor is a departure from his Private Murphy gag-type cartoons. These are real people and real stories, just depicted in a cartoony way. So we're very excited about that on March 4th, on a Monday for the Monday edition with just Ice, because I'm going to be out and away. So you're going to have Mark Baker.
Wait, am I by myself?
Well,
I'm
not
here.
going to be there.
I'll be here. I'm fangirling.
I'm about to say Mark Baker, Private Murphy, man. God,
I know.
That's like old school.
Did you not see my?
No, I'm breaking balls. I'm just breaking balls on it.
You're gonna.
No. I just.
By yourself.
Oh man, I can't wait. Like I said, I saw that when I was a kid, when I was a young Joe, and so
I used to subscribe and get Army Times in the mail just to get that.
Yeah, just to get Private Murphy's Law. He is the one
before the internet.
Yeah. And he used to post in his little books, because he would have like annual books that you could buy in the bookstore of how many stories were rejecting. Army Times used to reject his ass all the time for his comics, because they said it wasn't.
Yes,
it wasn't.
And that's what this is going to be about.
Yes.
That's his new endeavor,
Yes.
the not safe for work ones.
Right. It's going to be General's time. No, he's coming on. He's coming on. A real quick trivia tip.
Yeah,
me and
General's time is coming on.
Me and General
Donahoe. I like that.
Me and General Donahoe joined the Army in the same year. He's just a couple more months before me, back in 1989. But anywho, we got you guys notice there's some shows coming up and coming off. The reason why, because people are taking breaks. Today you're listening to the Monday edition with Ice and Flash. Tomorrow's Tied Up Tuesday with Minx. She's back. And then Wednesday we have our day off, and Thursday, of course, is Sergeant's time. Friday Night Freedom is a no-show. Jay Riddy is taking a break on Tinfoil Times. For Saturday, of course, Team Old with Kicking It With Cause. He
shaved his beard and is feeling a little self-conscious.
Did he shave his beard? I haven't seen his picture lately. Did he shave his beard? I was about to say.
No, I was buzzing.
And then, of course, bringing you right back to Monday. So I'm pretty stoked about the Trade Doc is supposed to be coming on as well pretty soon to discuss the ACFT. So all the questions you guys have, you can throw it in the chats. You can throw it to us. You can send it to Flash at WTFNationRadio.com or ice at WTFNationRadio.com or contact at WTFNationRadio.com, and you'll be able to get all your questions answered for the ACFT stuff that are specific. Or if you want to talk, or I don't know if you want to talk, but you want to throw some questions at General Donahoe.
Yeah.
we
have that DG-14 really tight before you ask.
Exactly. This is our first general, so I mean, usually we'll have units coming on and all like, but me and Spanker are going to call him sir because the generals are owed that shit. You know what I mean? That's a little bit colonels.
Well, you know what? Based off how how he acts on Twitter, which you can tell a lot about a leader, how they act on social media, especially like something volatile as Twitter, especially when not everyone's really nice. He's super smart. Like he understands what he's doing, and there's a reason why he's at this job. But he's also a very personable and he seems like a pretty funny and nice guy. I know we've talked a couple times how there's so many anonymous accounts on Twitter that are some are NCOs, but mostly they're like lieutenants and captains that are that are anonymous Twitter. That's been we call anonymous mil Twitter is a big thing right now. And like there people have like asked him questions and he's answered them with all honesty. He knows a couple of them and he has not doxed any of them. Same thing with General Abrams. It's just he's a good leader, and I think this is going to be a great interview.
Right.
And we're happy to have 8th Army represented. It's going to be awesome.
I actually was sitting down and been, because we research our guests, but this one's going to be a little bit more. This is like going to be the first guest I really, I don't want to say scrutinized, but really got into the weeds of some of his thoughts, some of his discussions, and all that, and just some of the questions that he has and what his what he's done, what he feels his leadership philosophy, some of his stuff about, things that he did, things in his past.
Talking about lethality.
Yeah, lethality. Yeah. Well, I tell you what. Don't be coming up to Sergeant's time with General Donahoe talking about crying about the ACFT because he's.
Can we
he's
play
the same way.
Officer Buzzword Bingo?
We should ask Doctrine Man if they could do that for us to give us an officer doctrine. Officer speak, but no, he's the same. He's of the same mindset of me. It's a change of culture with the ACFT. His thing is that don't get bayoneted, and he'll bring up a story about that. But yeah, it's the story that he has about the 8th Army, and I did not know a lot of stuff about the 8th Army, but I'm telling you what, especially what we got going on this week.
You're gonna learn Thursday.
This week also we have D. Treasy meeting with King Jong. We got, dude. So think about it. Korea, 8th Army, Korea. You get Korea. Dude, it's unreal. I'm pumped.
It's gonna be a very Korea Thursday. It's gonna be great.
Yeah, it's gonna be a very soju. Soju Thursday. Soju Thursday. On soju. So, but anyways. Well, with that, you guys, thank you guys so much for hanging out with us, and always keep the funk. You all know the deal.
Funk.
Thank you for joining us on the Monday edition with Ice and Flash and Spanky, and y'all have a good night. Shouts.
Funky shot.
Everything stated on WTF Nation Radio is to be considered the opinion of the person that stated it, and not an official representation of WTF Nation Radio or U.S. Army WTF Moments.
Price does not include tax, title, or license. Some assembly required. Each item sold separately. Batteries not included. Objects in mirror are closer than they appear. If conditions persist, contact a physician. Individual results may vary. Keep out of the reach of children. Avoid prolonged exposure to direct sunlight. Keep in a cool, dark place. And
please enjoy the show. Shots.
yes, into the sun, where we'll take the day by planting a flag right there at its source. Space Force. Now they say that they've discovered life up there on Mars, so let's blow it all to hell and then claim it for ours. We'll paint the moon red, white, and blue for no other reason than we wanted to. Oh, Jupiter, imagine what you could become. A stupid, pointless planet turned into a giant gun. And Russia, so sorry, have to burst your bubble. Be a good sport now, sit back, relax, and watch us through the Hubble as we celebrate the greatness of the United Planet of America. Space Force, Space Force. We'll saddle up our intergalactic horse and we'll ride into the sun. Yes, into the sun, where we'll take the day by planting a flag right there at its source. Space Force. Now we'll go to infinity and beyond, beyond. You'll hear our manly voices singing Space Force strong. The critics say sound doesn't travel in space, to which we reply sound will do as we say. Oh, Captain Kirk, your achievements, though notable and fine, as far as we're concerned, this is Deep Space Mine. And big fans, but Lord Vader, step away from the lightsaber. There can only be one, of course. Space Force. Space Force, Space Force. We'll saddle up our intergalactic horse and we'll ride into the sun. Yes, into the sun, where we'll take the day by planting a flag right there at its source. Space Force. Space
You're listening to the sounds of WTF Nation Radio.
Fizzle on the track. Friday flips number 7. Give me shelter. Rolling Stones. Phases. Yeah. I ask that you pour your heart out, drown the threat. We march, not one out of step. Think this shit's bad, see how loud it gets. If that lip fuse get to the powder keg, you got crowds in the net, crowds in the street. Weak exploited by the powers that be. It's no new thing, just a newfound breach. Worldwide web, worldwide greed. Let fear lead, dreams get broken. Fenced in routine, repeat the process. You paint them in the corner, provoking. For generations, put the sticks like the cage don't open. When the gap is padlocked from haves to have-nots, chat stops, time to act, cause this calm ain't peace. So the balance right off, man, all it takes is one shot. Shoot.